Chapter 3388. Book 1, Chapter 331. Hailey stared coldly at Shahi. Right now, her strength was still weaker than Shahi. This was also the reason why Shahi dared to act so arrogantly. Shahi smiled and continued, "What do you think?" Hailey snorted coldly. "Just you wait." Shahi laughed loudly. "This daddy doesn't have time to wait. Brothers, let's snatch all the valuables back. If there are any beautiful women, we'll snatch them back as well." The short and fat middle-aged man said, "Hailey, let's bring our men and escape first." Hailey looked at Zhao Fu's direction. "Stop!" A woman's voice rang out. It was a noble and beautiful woman dressed in a silver dress. Everyone turned to look at this woman. Shahi smiled and shouted, "To think that there would be people who would send themselves to our doorstep." That noble woman glanced at Shahi. An invisible force shot toward Shahi. Shahi's heart jolted as he hurriedly used his saber to block. Pong! A muffled sound rang out. Shahi was forced to retreat 4 to 5 steps. He looked at that noble woman, and his expression turned solemn. "Who are you?" The noble woman said, "Hying Di, Ingio." Hearing this, everyone revealed a shocked expression. Ingio was a famous genius in the vicinity. No wonder he was so strong. Shahi snorted coldly. "I'll give you face today. Brothers, let's go." Ingio did not speak. It was a silent agreement. Shahi brought his men and left. Everyone heaved a sigh of relief. This crisis had been averted. All of a sudden, an explosion rang out. A terrifying force turned into an invisible giant hand that pressed down on Shahi and his men. Some of the weaker ones exploded, causing blood and flesh to fly everywhere. The scene was extremely bloody. Shahi was also forced to kneel on the ground by that force. His body was also bleeding. His face was filled with rage as he stared at the stairs above. Zhao Fu laughed lightly. "You said that I'm conceited, right?" Hailey looked at Zhao Fu and revealed a smile. She knew that Zhao Fu would act. She didn't find the strength Zhao Fu displayed strange. Otherwise, she wouldn't have offered herself to him. Ingio stared at Zhao Fu. Shahi cursed. "Trash!" Pong! Shahi was sent flying by a powerful force and crashed onto the ground. He coughed out a mouthful of blood and did not even have the strength to stand up. Zhao Fu laughed as he said, "You asked for it." Feeling humiliated, Shahi desperately burst forth with all of his power. His body burned with a green aura flame as he turned into a massive shark. Powerful shock waves spread out, forcing the surrounding people to retreat. Looking at the power displayed by Shahi, everyone revealed shocked expressions. At the same time, they felt a sense of fear in their hearts. A trace of a condescending smile appeared on Zhao Fu's face as he stretched out his hand and tapped out. A massive wave of energy blasted out, causing the massive azure shark to instantly collapse. Shahi's body also exploded, and the powerful aura they gave off was suffocating. Ingio also looked at Zhao Fu in surprise. She understood that Zhao Fu might be stronger than her. Zhao Fu looked at Ocean Lip and said, "Since they can appear here, there might be spies among them. I don't need to use the tentacles anymore, right?" Hailey smiled and nodded. "I will handle it well." When Zhao Fu returned to his room, Hai Wei said, "It's settled so quickly." Zhao Fu smiled and said, "It's just a small matter. Let's continue." Hai Wei's face turned red, and she lightly acknowledged. Hailey ordered people to clean up the bloodstains. While everyone was discussing who Zhao Fu was, Ingio returned to her room. The spy was quickly caught. It was an old boatman. After being caught, he knelt on the ground and begged for mercy, saying that he had to take care of the elderly and children at home. However, Hailey did not show any mercy and ordered people to kill him. The short and fat man looked at Hailey and said, "Who was that person just now? His strength feels so terrifying." Hailey smiled and said, "He's the young sect head of the Clean Water sect. He's also my man now. In the future, I might leave this ship to you." The short and fat man sighed. "Although I'm a little reluctant, following him is definitely better than staying here. Who knows, when we meet again, you might be an expert." Hailey lightly laughed. "You work hard too. If you need anything, come and find me. I will do my best to help you." The short and fat man nodded with a smile. The two of them had been friends for many years. The short and fat man paid most of the money to build this ship, and it was all thanks to Hai Li that the ship could become what it was today. After dealing with these matters, Hai Li came to Zhao Fu's room. Seeing the scene in front of her, she chuckled. Hai Wei's face turned red. Zhao Fu smiled and said, "Have you dealt with it?" Hai Li smiled and said, "Yeah." Zhao Fu said, "Have you collected the information? Is there an 8-direction water world here?" Hai Li said, "Sorry, I haven't collected any information about the 8-direction water world. Did you come to the wrong place?" Zhao Fu said, "According to the information I got, there might be one here. Actually, I'm not sure if there's one or not. Let's wait until we get to the land of the sea demons." Hai Li stepped forward and hugged Zhao Fu. "I want to leave with you too, can I?" Zhao Fu smiled and said, "Sure, I have nothing to do right now. However, I can't stay by your side all the time. It's best to prepare here." Hai Li smiled and said, "Okay." Zhao Fu looked at Hai Wei and said, "You come with me too." Hai Wei said, "I don't want to." Zhao Fu chuckled. "Are you sure? I won't come back to find you after I leave. Do you want to stay by Hai Cun's side?" Hai Wei snorted. "It's all your fault. I agreed to leave with you, but you have to promise not to abandon me. I don't want to be played with and then abandoned. I want to know what to do." Zhao Fu smiled and said, "Are you still worried about me? I'll definitely take responsibility for you." Hai Wei's face was red as she hugged Zhao Fu. "I'll believe you this once," Hai Li said with a smile. "Sister, you must be tired. Let me do it." Zhao Fu smiled and nodded. Hai Cun anxiously looked for Hai Wei, but he couldn't see her at all. In the end, he went back to his room and waited. He didn't know that his wife was next door. Within Ingio's room, a woman with a pale face and a weak aura said, "What just happened?" Ingio replied, "A group of pirates snuck in, but they were all dealt with by a single person. That person is incredibly terrifying." The woman said, "You have to be careful." Ingio said, "I know, mother." The woman smiled and said, "Then I'll be at ease." Ingio said, "Mother, your body is weak, so you should continue to rest. I'll definitely get the sea god pearl to heal you." The woman smiled and said, "It's fine if you can't get it. I'm content with having a daughter like you." Ingio looked at the weak woman and said, "Mother, don't say that." The woman sighed and said, "The sea god pearl is a supreme treasure of sea demons. Don't make things difficult for yourself. If you can't get it, then forget it. Don't force yourself, or else I won't accept it. Your father has been dead for so many years. I think it's time to accompany him." Chapter 3389. Book 1. Chapter 332. On the 4th day, they were about to reach the land of the sea demons, but an accident happened again. A huge green starfish grabbed the ship from above and forced it to stop. A group of soldiers appeared in front of the ship, led by a tall and skinny man in a white uniform. The aura he emitted was also very strong. This person was called the Sea King, and he was one of the 6 monarchs of the land of the sea demons. The Sea King said, "Let me in." The short and fat man naturally did not dare to offend him. He immediately opened the door to the ship and respectfully welcomed him with his men. "Sea King, is there anything I can help you with?" The Sea King walked in with his men and said, "I'm looking for someone." The short and fat man smiled and said, "I wonder who the Sea King is looking for. I should be able to help." The Sea King said coldly, "You don't have to worry about this. Just stay aside." Hearing this, the short and fat man could only step aside awkwardly, not daring to speak again. Everyone on the ship looked at the Sea King and felt a little nervous. They stepped aside and did not dare to block the Sea King's group. The Sea King brought his people to the center and said, "Everyone in the room, come out." Inside the room, Hai Wei, who was sitting on top of Zhao Fu, said, "What happened outside?" Hai Li said, "Let's go out and take a look." The ship should have been intercepted, and the person who came should have a very high status. Hai Wei said, "You guys go out. I'll stay in the room. I don't want my husband to see me." Hai Li chuckled. "What are you afraid of? You should have told him earlier. You're another man's woman now. Isn't it better for you to stay by Moye's side?" Hai Wei blushed and said, "I still don't want to." Hai Li smiled and said, "All right, I'll go out and take a look. Hailey put on her clothes and left the room. When she came outside and saw the Sea King, she looked slightly surprised and smiled as she asked, "Lord Sea King, is something the matter?" The Sea King frowned. "I'm here to look for someone." The short and fat man next to him pulled Hailey to the side, and Hailey tactfully retreated to the side. She could sense that the Sea King was in a bad mood, and she did not want to get into trouble. The Sea King said coldly, "If the people in the room don't come out, then don't blame me for being rude." Upon hearing this, an old man's voice rang out from the room on the top floor. "Sea King, are you really going to be so merciless?" The Sea King said coldly, "I've said it before. If anyone from your clan dares to enter my place, they will die." Boom! The Sea King slammed his palm towards the room, bringing with it a massive wave of power. The room was shattered by the palm, and a black-haired elder appeared. The black-haired old man looked at the Sea King and said, "I didn't come here to fight with you." The Sea King ignored him and charged toward the black-haired old man. The black-haired old man realized that he could not avoid the attack, so he had no choice but to face the Sea King's attack. The Sea King did not hold back at all. He unleashed all sorts of techniques, causing the surrounding rooms to shatter. The fat man watched with a pained expression. Hailey's expression did not look too good. The others were even more afraid and retreated to the side to avoid being affected. Bang! The Sea King's fist landed on the black-haired old man's chest. The black-haired old man was sent flying and spat out a small mouthful of blood. There was also a hint of anger on his face. He grabbed with both hands, and black light emerged, forming a pair of ghostly claws that fiercely clawed at the Sea King. The Sea King's fist glowed with a green light, and he attacked the Sea King with a powerful force. The battle between the two sides became intense, and waves of terrifying immobility spread out. The surrounding rooms were shattered, and cracks appeared on the ship. If the two of them continued fighting, the ship would definitely be destroyed. Boom! The Sea King punched the black-haired old man's head, sending him flying far away and crashing into a wall. The black-haired old man glared at the Sea King, then turned into a black aura and fled outside. The Sea King quickly chased after the black-haired old man. When the people he brought saw this, they immediately followed and left. The starfish that was holding onto the ship also let go of it. Everyone watched the Sea King leave and heaved a sigh of relief. The short and fat man looked at the destruction around him and could only sigh helplessly. He could only blame it on his bad luck, and he did not dare to ask the Sea King for compensation. "Who can save my sister?" a young girl with exquisite facial features cried out. Everyone looked over and saw another young girl lying on the ground. Her head was bleeding, and she seemed to have fainted. The two of them did not hold back during the battle, and some people were injured. A voice sounded out from within the room. "Bring her in and let me have a look." Hailey lightly laughed and picked up the young girl as she said to the other young girl, "Let's go. Someone wants to save your sister." The other young girl nodded gratefully. Zhao Fu looked at the three people who walked in and gave a slight smile as he said, "Put her on the bed." Hailey put the young girl on the bed, and Zhao Fu waved his hand as a massive wave of life energy entered the young girl's body, causing her to quickly wake up. She looked around in confusion. The older sister was called Hailey, and the younger sister was called Hayu. The younger sister, Hayu, went up and said happily, "Big sis, you're awake. It's just this Lord that saved you." Hailey looked at Zhao Fu, and looking at Zhao Fu's perfect face, her face slightly reddened as she said, "Thank you." Zhao Fu smiled as he said, "You're welcome." Hayu also smiled as she said, "Thank you, sir. We'll definitely repay you." Zhao Fu smiled as he said, "Why don't you repay me now?" Hayu looked at Zhao Fu in confusion as she asked, "How do I repay you?" Hailey smiled as she whispered in Hayu's ear, and Hayu blushed as she secretly looked at Zhao Fu before leaping into Zhao Fu's arms and saying shyly, "I'm willing." Zhao Fu lightly laughed as he placed Hayu next to Hailey, and Hailey's face reddened as she understood what was going on. Zhao Fu teased his sister as he asked, "Is the ship badly damaged?" Hailey replied, "It's quite serious, but the ship is safe." Zhao Fu smiled as he asked, "Who is that person?" Hailey replied, "Sea King, one of the 6 kings of the land of sea demons. As for that old man, I don't know. Zhao Fu asked curiously. The 6 kings of the land of sea demons? Hailey nodded. They're the 6 different factions in the land of sea demons. Their leaders call themselves kings, so they're called the 6 kings of the sea demons. Zhao Fu asked, are they all so powerful? Hailey replied, yes, the lowest cultivation is at the spirit realm. Zhao Fu lightly laughed. They dare to call themselves the 6 kings with such low cultivation. Hailey smiled as she said, that's right. Of course they can't compare to you, but they only control 1% of the area. The real masters here are the sea demons. Hailey blushed as she said, sir, my little sister can't take it anymore. Let me do it. Zhao Fu smiled as he nodded and said to Hailey, why didn't you wonder why I didn't attack that sea king? Hailey smiled as she said, you had your reasons for not attacking, and I didn't want to cause trouble. Chapter 3390. Book 1. Chapter 333. Zhao Fu smiled and said, I'm waiting to see how things develop. If they want to hurt you, I'll definitely act immediately. Hailey smiled sweetly. I know. Highway looked at the 2 girls. Did the 2 of you come out by yourselves? You don't have a family with you? Hiyu said, we came out this time to look for our parents. They haven't returned for several months. Highway said, do your parents know about the land of sea demons? Hiyu nodded. It's in the territory of someone called the Sea Mountain King. Ocean Lips said, the Ocean Mountain King is also one of the 6 great kings. He is very lecherous, and many women have been captured by him to be his concubines. Ordinary people do not dare to approach his territory. Hiyu said worriedly, what will happen to my parents? Hailey said, it's possible that your father is already dead and your mother has been taken to the palace to be a concubine. Hiyu cried, then what do we do? Hailey glanced at Zhao Fu. Hiyu immediately understood. She hugged Zhao Fu. My lord, can you help us save father and mother? Hailey hugged Zhao Fu and said shyly, please. Zhao Fu chuckled. You don't have to worry about that. I will definitely rescue them. The 2 sisters trusted Zhao Fu and nodded. The pudgy middle-aged man ordered his men to repair the boat while he continued to sail. He planned to repair everything after they returned to their destination. The 5th day, everyone finally arrived at their destination, and the boat stopped at the shore. Everyone felt a lingering fear as they left the boat. They had encountered 2 life-threatening situations along the way, but fortunately, they had safely passed through them. Hai Siyun glanced at the boat and left. He had been looking for his wife for the past few days, but it seemed that his wife had disappeared. Hailey smiled and said to the short and fat man, I'll leave the ship to you from now on. I'm leaving with him. The short and fat man said, okay, I will take good care of this ship. See you later. Hailey looked at the boat and felt quite reluctant, but she still turned and walked over to Zhao Fu's side as she smiled and said, husband, let's go. Everyone left the ship and entered city. They found an inn and settled down. Hailey said with concern, sir, when are we going to save our parents? Zhao Fu smiled and said, wait here for a while. Let me gather some information, then we'll go immediately. Hailey grunted. Hailey smiled and said, husband, I'm more familiar with this place. I'll bring you there to gather information. Zhao Fu nodded and looked at Highway. Highway hesitated and said, I won't go. Hai Siyun should be here too. Zhao Fu nodded and left the inn with Hailey. Hayu and Hailey looked at Highway and said, big sister, can you tell us who our lord is? Highway blushed and said, I've only been with him for a few days. I don't know him very well. The 2 sisters looked at Highway in surprise. Zhao Fu and Hailey went around to collect information, but they still could not find any information on the octagonal water world. However, they had some information and gained some understanding of this place. Then, Zhao Fu said, you guys stay here for now. I'll go to the Ocean Mountain King's place to find Haiyu's parents. Hailey said, you're not going back? Zhao Fu nodded. Just as he was about to leave, he thought of something and said, that's right. Don't you have something you need my help with? Now that we're here, tell me what it is. Hailey smiled and said, husband, I'm not in a hurry. We'll talk about it after you go back. Zhao Fu smiled and nodded. After spending half a day, Zhao Fu arrived at the Ocean Mountain King's territory. Just as he was about to enter the city, a group of soldiers blocked in front of Zhao Fu and said, "Take off your cloak. Handsome men are forbidden from entering." Handsome men are forbidden from entering? Zhao Fu wondered what kind of strange rule this was. With his perfect looks, wouldn't he be hunted down? After thinking about it, Zhao Fu changed his appearance to a very ordinary one and took off his cloak. The soldiers looked at him and said, "You're still too good-looking. You can't enter our city." Zhao Fu was speechless. He was so ordinary, yet he said that he was good-looking. Zhao Fu could not change his appearance in front of them, so he could only turn around and leave. He then turned into a carp's head and returned here. This time, the soldiers did not even look at Zhao Fu, and Zhao Fu directly walked into the city. This surprised Zhao Fu. In the city, both men and women were not very good-looking. Could it be that being too beautiful was also forbidden? However, this was the Ocean Mountain King's territory, and the beautiful women had long been captured by the Ocean Mountain King. Zhao Fu quickly found a person who sold information and asked, "Did the Ocean Mountain King capture a couple a few months ago?" The man's name is Hai Tua, and the woman's name is Hai Lu. The person nodded and said, "Hai Lu is now the Ocean Mountain King's concubine, and Hai Tua is now in prison. I don't know if he's dead or alive." Zhao Fu said, "All right, there's nothing else. You can leave now." The person looked at Zhao Fu and said, "Do you want to save them? I have to remind you that it will be very dangerous. Not only is the Ocean Mountain King very powerful, but he also has a few powerful subordinates. Someone has done this in the past, and they died very miserably." Zhao Fu smiled and said, "Thank you for the reminder. I know." The person did not speak and continued to leave. The Ocean Mountain King's strength had just reached the emptiness realm, and he had a few powerful subordinates. Zhao Fu already knew about this and had already thought of a way to deal with him. Zhao Fu first snuck into a building, and there was a man and a woman inside. However, they were both very ugly, with dark skin and ugly figures. They gave off a disgusting feeling, and Zhao Fu could not help but immediately take action. Countless chains shot out and bound the man and woman. The man was the Ocean Mountain King's subordinate. Seeing Zhao Fu, the man struggled and shouted, "Who are you? Let me go." The woman said in fear, "Don't kill me. I can serve you." Hearing this, Zhao Fu felt like vomiting, so he knocked her out. However, he did not kill her. Even though she was ugly, Zhao Fu would not kill her because of this. Zhao Fu looked at the man and sent a powerful wave of power into his body, starting to control him. Zhao Fu's plan was very simple, which was to control the Ocean Mountain King's trusted subordinates and kill the Ocean Mountain King together. Then, he would take control of this faction. This was the best and most convenient method. Following this, Zhao Fu snuck into another place. This time, Zhao Fu faced a man with a crab's head and fish scales. He looked quite ugly. When he saw Zhao Fu, he immediately held a spear and ferociously stabbed toward Zhao Fu. He was quite strong, but he was facing Zhao Fu. Zhao Fu stretched out a hand, and a powerful wave of power imprisoned the man. The owner of the power quickly controlled the man and headed to the next place. Chapter 3391. Book 1. Chapter 334. After taking control of a few people, Zhao Fu went to the Ocean Mountain King's palace. The Ocean Mountain King was also very ugly and fat. He wore a black coat and looked like a toad. Zhao Fu frowned as he looked at the Ocean Mountain King from afar. Men who were too good-looking were forbidden from entering, perhaps because the Ocean Mountain King was jealous. However, if it wasn't for his power, who would be with a man like him? A tall, beautiful woman with her hair tied up in a bun walked out. She wore a long robe and gave off a noble and arrogant feeling. She was the Ocean Mountain King's concubine, Hai Juanru. Zhao Fu appeared in front of Hai Juanru, but Hai Juanru did not even look at Zhao Fu and said coldly, "Get out of the way." Zhao Fu smiled as he said, "I want to ask you something." Hai Juanru ignored him and continued to walk away. Zhao Fu hugged Hai Juanru with both hands. Hai Juanru did not panic and looked at Zhao Fu coldly as she said, I advise you to let go. That disgusting thing will make you die a horrible death, and it's useless for you to regret it. Zhao Fu smiled as he said, I'm not afraid of him. Hai Junru became serious as she asked, Then who are you? Zhao Fu smiled as he hugged Hai Junru and walked to the side. Hai Junru lifted Zhao Fu's cloak and looked at Zhao Fu's face as she smiled and said, If that disgusting thing saw your appearance, he would probably die from anger on the spot. Zhao Fu smiled as he said, Are you going to disgust him like that? Hai Junru lightly harumphed as she said, Of course, there isn't a single woman in the palace who likes him. He's disgusting and perverted. As long as you take me away from here, I'll be yours in the future. How about it? Zhao Fu smiled as he said, Why should I take you away? Hai Junru looked at Zhao Fu as she said, You want to have me for free and then leave by yourself? Don't think that I'll obey you just because you're so good-looking. If you don't agree, I'll call for help. Zhao Fu smiled as he said, I'm here to deal with this ocean mountain king. Hai Junru said in surprise, You have the ability to do that. Zhao Fu smiled as he said, That's very easy for me. I came to ask about a person's whereabouts, and if I find her, I'll act against the ocean mountain king. Hai Junru smiled as she said, Who are you looking for? Zhao Fu replied, She's called Hai Lu. Zhao Fu said, Her name. Zhao Fu said, She's called Hai Lu. Then I'll have Fu Tu World Zhao Tu. Hi the three. Hai Junru hugged Zhao Fu and said temptingly, Accompany me first, then I'll help you find them. All right? One Zhao Fu thought about it, and one. Hai Chen one. One Tian into Zhao Fu, and a family too. Zhao King with Chun, Hai, Chun Long, and He Fu. 2 hours later, Hai Junru walked out of the room with a satisfied look on her face. She had a faint smile on her face as she walked to the side. A beautiful woman with a graceful figure and a beautiful face wearing a white dress walked in. When she saw Zhao Fu lying on the bed, she felt quite surprised. Why was there a naked man in her room? What's more, that person looked so perfect. She was the Ocean Mountain King's second concubine, Hai Huayu. Her face was slightly red as she said, Who are you? Zhao Fu looked at Hai Huayu and felt quite surprised. He had just randomly found a room. Hearing her words, Zhao Fu smiled as he said, I'm the man waiting for you. Hai Huayu's face became even redder as she said, I don't know you. Zhao Fu smiled as he said, Do you know me now? Hai Huayu said shyly, I don't. Also put on your clothes. Zhao Fu smiled as he said, If you say you don't know me, then I won't wear them. Hai Huayu said angrily, You're so shameless. Zhao Fu walked over from a bed, and seeing Zhao Fu walk over, Hai Huayu turned her face away as she said, What do you want? Zhao Fu went up and hugged Hai Huayu as he smiled and said, I want you. Hai Huayu's face became red, but she struggled to refuse. When Hai Junru returned, she saw that Zhao Fu had already done it to Hai Huayu. She gave a slight smile as she said, Hai Huayu, how do you feel? Are you very happy? Hai Huayu's face was incredibly red as she replied. Zhao Fu looked at Hai Junru and smiled as he said, Did you find a person I was looking for? Hai Junru nodded as she said, I found her, but she was slightly injured by that disgusting thing. Zhao Fu nodded as he said, All right, take me to see her later. Hai Huayu asked curiously, Who are you looking for? Zhao Fu smiled as he said, I'll tell you later. Hai Huayu nodded with a red face. Following this, the three of them came to a room where a beautiful woman with a voluptuous figure and a gentle aura sat by the side. She was the Hai Lu that Zhao Fu had been looking for. There were bruises on her arms, neck, and face, and she had most likely been beaten up. Looking at Zhao Fu and the others who had walked in, her attitude was quite cold. She did not say anything and just sat there. Zhao Fu went up and smiled as he said, You're Hai Lu? Hai Lu did not reply. Zhao Fu smiled as he said, I was asked by your 2 daughters to come and find you and your wife. Hai Lu's expression fell as she hurriedly said, My 2 daughters are here. Zhao Fu nodded and added, They have not come to the Ocean Mountain King's territory yet. Hai Lu let out a sigh of relief and looked at Zhao Fu as she said, Thank you. May I ask how my husband is now? Zhao Fu smiled as he said, "He was locked up in prison and is quite injured." Hai Lu said worriedly, "Can you save my husband first? I'm fine right now. I'm just worried about his safety." Zhao Fu smiled as he said, "I'm here to ask for a reward." Seeing Zhao Fu look at her, Hai Lu understood what Zhao Fu meant and said, "I can give it to you." Zhao Fu smiled as he said, "I'll help you heal your injuries first." Zhao Fu sat by Hai Lu's side and sent a wave of power into her body, causing her injuries to quickly recover. Following this, Zhao Fu pushed her onto the bed. A few hours later, Hai Junru looked at Zhao Fu and said, "Now that you've found her, how are we going to deal with that disgusting thing? I don't want to see him for another day. The sooner he dies, the better." Hai Huayu said, "Are you going to kill the Ocean Mountain King?" Zhao Fu smiled as he said, I'll go and deal with him now. Wait here." Hai Huayu said, "Be careful." Hai Junru smiled as she said, "I'll be waiting for your good news." Hai Lu looked at Zhao Fu and gave a trace of smile as she said, "Thank you." At that moment, the Ocean Mountain King was hugging a beautiful woman, and an ugly man walked in and bowed as he said, "Your Majesty, we have something to report to you." The Ocean Mountain King asked curiously, "What is it?" A man said, "Your Majesty, according to the information we received, someone in the palace is fooling around with a few princesses and wants to harm Your Majesty." Hearing this, the Ocean Mountain King was so angry that his face became red. He definitely would not tolerate a woman betraying him. And he asked, "Who is that person?" The man said, "I'll take Your Majesty to see him now." The Ocean Mountain King said angrily, "Are you saying that bitch is still with a man?" Chapter 3392. Book 1. Chapter 335. Demon King. The man nodded. The Ocean Mountain King angrily yelled, "Take me there immediately." The beautiful woman sighed, "I wonder who's going to be unlucky this time." She was the Ocean Mountain King's third princess consort, Hai Yanzi, and she naturally did not like the Ocean Mountain King. However, due to the Ocean Mountain King's power, she could only submit to him. The Ocean Mountain King angrily rushed out, while the man stealthily took out a dagger and stabbed it into the Ocean Mountain King's body. The Ocean Mountain King looked quite startled and looked at the man. He had never thought that he would be attacked. The man seized this opportunity and stabbed the dagger into the Ocean Mountain King's body again. The Ocean Mountain King was furious and slapped the man. The man hurriedly dodged to the side and avoided the Ocean Mountain King's attack. The Ocean Mountain King waited for the man and asked, "Why are you doing this?" The man did not reply because he was already under Zhao Fu's control and would only act according to Zhao Fu's orders. Even though the Ocean Mountain King was quite injured, he still had strength. He slapped towards the man with a powerful force, bringing with it a gust of wind. The man hurriedly dodged, but he was still hit and was sent flying. At that moment, a few more people ran over with soldiers, and a young man with a fish head asked, "Your Majesty, what's going on?" The Ocean Mountain King coldly said, "Capture him." Chi. Just as the Ocean Mountain King spoke, the young man with a fish head slashed at the Ocean Mountain King's body, causing him to feel pain. He looked at the young man in confusion. The others immediately came over and attacked the Ocean Mountain King. Looking at this scene, Hai Yanzi looked quite confused. Why had the Ocean Mountain King's subordinates betrayed him? Hai Yanzi retreated to the side, not planning to help. Boom! The Ocean Mountain King exploded out with a massive power, sending the people who were attacking him flying. Because of the sneak attack, the Ocean Mountain King's injuries were quite severe. The soldiers that he had brought also wanted to charge at the Ocean Mountain King, as they were his personal guards and would not listen to the Ocean Mountain King's orders. The Sea Mountain King slapped a few soldiers into meat chunks with a palm, and dozens of arrows shot towards the Sea Mountain King. The Sea Mountain King let out a breath and turned into a gust of wind, blowing away the arrows. A man appeared behind the Sea Mountain King and stabbed his spear into the Sea Mountain King's back. The Sea Mountain King sent the man flying with a slap. Bang! Another man fiercely punched the Sea Mountain King's head, sending him flying and falling to the ground. The Sea Mountain King stood up angrily, and a few of them walked towards him again. In the end, the Sea Mountain King could not hold on any longer, and his body was pierced by a spear. He died on the spot, and many soldiers around him died as well. The battle was incredibly intense. The news of the Sea Mountain Monarch's death spread, and the palace fell into chaos. However, someone soon appeared and took control of the situation. Zhao Fu sat on the throne and held Hai Juanru with one hand and Hai Huayu with the other. He looked at the women continuously walking in and smiled. The women all looked nervous and worried. They had heard that this person had controlled a few of the Sea Mountain King's subordinates and killed the Sea Mountain King. Now, he had become the new king of the Sea Mountain region. Some people were worried that this person would be even more terrifying than the Sea Mountain King, while others hoped that this person was a good person. Zhao Fu looked at the people in the hall and smiled as he said, "Just how many women does the Sea Mountain King have?" Hai Juanru smiled as she said, "There are about a few thousand, and a few hundred have been made princesses. There are also some good-looking palace maids, and if you include them, there will be even more." Looking at this scene, Hai Yinzi could not help but ask, "Who is Hai Juanru?" Hai Juanru smiled as she said, "He's my man. What do you think?" Hai Yinzi said, "How come I don't know about you two and him? He hit it so deeply, and I was worried about him." Hai Juanru smiled as she said, "We don't know about his plans either, but we can share him with you now." Hai Yinzi looked at Zhao Fu and gave a trace of smile. A voluptuous woman called Hai Shuiyun, the fourth princess, looked at Zhao Fu and asked, "Why did you call so many of us here?" A cold-looking woman in a blue dress, called Hai Mo, said for the fifth concubine, "He also wants us, can't you tell?" Hai Shuiyun sighed. "I thought that I would be able to leave this place." Zhao Fu smiled as he said, "I don't plan to imprison you here. Also, I'm not the Sea Mountain King, so I won't even look at him." A cute-looking woman called Hai Shui said in surprise, "Really?" Zhao Fu nodded. "If you want to leave, you can leave at any time." Hearing this, the women all felt quite happy. Almost all of them had been kidnapped and imprisoned in the palace, and they had never left. Hai Mo looked at Zhao Fu and said, "Then why did you call us here? Why didn't you tell us to leave?" Zhao Fu smiled as he said, "Because you're right. I do want you." Hai Mo nodded and looked at Zhao Fu as she asked, "When do we start?" Zhao Fu lightly laughed. "We can start now." The hall quickly fell into chaos. At that moment, Hai Lu came to the prison and saw a man covered in wounds. She immediately ran over and called out, "Husband!" The man was her husband, and he looked at Hai Lu excitedly and said in concern, "Why are you here? How did that bastard bully you?" Hai Lu thought back to what had happened and felt pain in her heart. However, when she thought about what she had done with Zhao Fu, her face became red as she said, "The Sea Mountain King has already been killed. I'm here to save you." The man said happily, "The Sea Mountain King was an animal. It's good that he died." Hai Lu nodded. "That person was entrusted by our two daughters to save us." The man said worriedly, "Why did they come to such a dangerous place?" Hai Lu smiled as she said, "Husband, don't worry. That person has already placed our daughters in a safe place." The man said gratefully, "We have to thank him properly in the future. I also want to see our daughters. I thought that I would never be able to see them in this lifetime." Hai Lu happily nodded. "I'll let you out now. We'll be able to see our daughters soon." The prison door opened, and Hai Lu brought the man out and had people treat him. Finally, Hai Lu came to the hall, and looking at the chaotic scene before her, she walked over with a red face. A few days later, Zhao Fu hugged the women and asked, "Have you heard any news about the water world in all directions?" Hai Juanru said, "No, but I heard that the Sea Mountain King has a treasure chest, and there should be something very important to him inside." Zhao Fu took out the Sea Mountain King's spatial ring and looked at it before taking out a silver treasure chest and asking, "Is it this one?" Hai Juanru nodded. Chapter 3393. Book 1. Chapter 336. Zhao Fu opened the silver treasure chest and found a square piece of jade that was the size of 3 fingers. "What is this?" Zhao Fu looked quite confused. Hai Juanru also looked at the jade curiously. Zhao Fu asked, "Do you know what this is?" Hai Juanru said, I'm not sure. Zhao Fu put the item away and said, I'm going. Hai Junru asked, Where are you going? Zhao Fu smiled and said, To find the omniscient water world. Hai Junru hugged Zhao Fu and said, What should we do then? Zhao Fu smiled and said, In the future, you will be the owners of the Ocean Mountain territory. I'll leave this place to you, and I'll also leave some power in your bodies. You must work hard to cultivate. Hai Junru said in surprise, Husband, you're so nice. Hai Mo said, Then can we leave the palace and go wherever we want? Zhao Fu nodded. I already said that you're the owners of this place. You can do whatever you want, and I won't care. Hai Mo smiled. Understand. Following this, Zhao Fu brought Hai Lu and her man back to the inn. Seeing her parents return, Hai Li happily pounced over and hugged her parents. Hai Li smiled and said, I also heard that the Ocean Mountain King was killed by a few subordinates. Zhao Fu smiled and said, It was those subordinates that I controlled. Hai Li looked at Zhao Fu and said with a light smile, I also heard that you took all of the Ocean Mountain King's women for yourself. Hai Wei glared at Zhao Fu. Zhao Fu chuckled. Hai Li hugged Zhao Fu and asked, What should you do next? Zhao Fu said, Continue to gather information about the omniscient water world. Hai Li smiled and said, Have you ever thought about becoming the strongest king of the other seas after the other 5 kings are destroyed? Zhao Fu smiled and said, I'm just saying, do you want to become the strongest king here? Si Lip smiled. Yes, I do, but I'll go back to the clean water sect with you. Zhao Fu smiled and said, Then I'll help you. I'm also collecting information anyway, but I might have to trouble you to wait for me again. Hai Li smiled. It's all right. Zhao Fu looked at Hai Wei. I'm leaving. Hai Wei nodded. I also want to have a place to settle down in the future. Hai Lu's face reddened as she looked at Zhang Xian. Zhao Fu left the inn and went to the palace of this territory. The owner of this territory was called the Sea Fish King, and he was quite friendly to others, unlike the Sea Mountain King. Adding on the fact that the territory was managed in an orderly manner, many ships liked to stop here. Within the room, there was a blue-skinned woman with fin-like ears and a bewitching figure. She was currently thinking about something, and she was the Fish King. She was currently thinking about the Sea Mountain territory, which made her feel a massive sense of danger. If the Sea Mountain King could be killed just like that, then it was possible that she could as well. She wondered what kind of person was in control of the Sea Mountain territory. The Fish King sighed. At that moment, a person appeared in the room. The Fish King's expression fell as she looked at Zhao Fu and asked coldly, Who are you? The Fish King became wary and prepared to call for help at any moment. For this person to be able to silently appear here without her noticing, his strength was incredibly terrifying. Zhao Fu smiled as he said, You don't know me, but I can say that the Sea Mountain territory is mine. The Fish King said, So it's you. What are you doing here? Zhao Fu smiled as he said, I want you to submit to me. The Fish King coldly harumphed, What big words. Do you think it's possible for me to submit to you like this? Zhao Fu smiled as he said, I'm giving you a choice. If you don't submit to me, don't regret it. After all, you're just a small fish that I can casually crush. Boom! A powerful wave of water world energy exploded out of Zhao Fu's body and slammed into the Fish King's body. Even though the Fish King was more powerful than Zhao Fu, her body and soul felt suffocated. This person's strength far surpassed hers, causing the Fish King's expression to become quite unsightly. This person could casually crush her to death. Zhao Fu said, I won't hide my identity. I'm the young sect master of the Pure Water Sect. The power you sensed is the power of the water world. I've already shown enough sincerity, so you should be more tactful. Hearing Zhao Fu's identity, the Pure Water Sect power gave this person the right to be so arrogant. Hearing that Zhao Fu controlled the water world, the Fish King felt quite helpless. After thinking for a while, the Fish King said, How do I know you're not lying to me? Zhao Fu smiled as he looked at the Fish King and stretched out a hand, causing 11 water worlds to appear around him. They gave off blue light, and a wave of pure water energy spread out. The Fish King looked quite shocked. There were so many water worlds? Zhao Fu smiled as he said, "Can you prove my identity now?" The Fish King nodded. Zhao Fu looked at the Fish King and smiled as he said, "What's your choice now?" The Fish King said, "I can submit to you, but I have some conditions." Zhao Fu said, "What conditions?" The Fish King said, "Firstly, you can't harm my territory's people. Secondly, I won't allow you to fight with other territories. And thirdly, I want the water world's power." Zhao Fu smiled as he said, "You're quite demanding." The Fish King looked at Zhao Fu and said, "So, do you agree or not?" Zhao Fu walked in front of the Fish King, and the Fish King looked away in embarrassment. Zhao Fu smiled as he said, "I agree now." After some time, the Fish King looked at Zhao Fu with a red face. Zhao Fu smiled as he said, "I'll give you the water world's power now." The Fish King lightly nodded. Zhao Fu smiled as he said, "Right now, I only lack an 8-direction water world. If you can provide me with information, after I have 12 8-direction water worlds, I'll give you the 12-direction water seal. You'll be the first person in the world to use it." The Fish King said, "But I don't know about the water world, but I'll help you gather information as soon as possible." Zhao Fu smiled as he said, "Thank you for your hard work." The Fish King lightly nodded. Zhao Fu smiled as he said, "How did it feel?" The Fish King looked embarrassed. He turned his face away and asked, "You've already obtained 2 territories. What do you want?" Zhao Fu smiled as he said, "I want to control the land of sea demons." The Fish King nodded. Zhao Fu smiled as he said, "I might need your help in the future." The Fish King reminded, "I won't fight with other territories for you. You must have promised me that." Zhao Fu smiled as he said, "I won't start a war, but I'll need your help." The Fish King thought about it and said, "I can promise you that as long as you don't make me go against my principles." Chapter 3394. Book 1, Chapter 337. Battle. Zhao Fu smiled as he said, Thanks." The Fish King asked, "Why do you want to unify the Ocean Devil's Land?" Zhao Fu smiled as he said, "I didn't have this idea before, but someone mentioned it, so I decided to unify it so that I can gather more information." The Fish King sighed. Zhao Fu smiled as he asked, "What is it?" The Fish King looked at Zhao Fu and said, "A major figure like you can really change other people's fates at will." Zhao Fu smiled as he said, "What? Are you not satisfied with me?" The Fish King hurriedly said, "That's not what I meant." Zhao Fu lightly laughed as he said, "Is there anything else? If not, I'll be leaving." The Fish King said, "It's fine." Zhao Fu left and headed to the next territory. This territory was called the Ocean Water Territory, and the king here was called the Ocean Water King. It was said that she was quite beautiful, but she was more difficult to deal with than the Fish King. After sneaking into the palace, Zhao Fu found that she was cultivating. She had wavy blue hair and was quite mature, and she was indeed quite beautiful. Zhao Fu did not disturb her, and instead waited for an opportunity. An hour later, many blue water droplets appeared around the Ocean Water King and slowly floated towards her. Zhao Fu suddenly attacked, sending out a palm containing terrifying power towards the Ocean Water King. The ground could not withstand this power and continuously shattered. The Ocean Water King was startled and hurriedly released a defensive barrier to block. Bang! The Ocean Water King blocked this attack, but coughed up a mouthful of blood. Her cultivation had been disrupted at a critical moment, and she had suffered a backlash. Zhao Fu looked at the pale-faced Ocean Water King and gave a trace of a smile. The Ocean Water King coldly looked at Zhao Fu and asked, "Who are you and why are you attacking me?" Zhao Fu smiled as he said, "Guess." After saying this, Zhao Fu immediately attacked. A wave of power flowed out and turned into a black demon dragon that gave off a powerful aura as it blasted towards the Ocean Water King. The Ocean Water King's defenses were directly broken, and she retreated a few steps and coughed up a small mouthful of blood. He looked at Zhao Fu with an ugly expression. Although she was injured, she was still a soul realm expert. She wasn't someone an ordinary emptiness realm expert could deal with. However, why couldn't she block the attack in front of her? Zhao Fu sensed that many people were rushing over, so he didn't waste any time and attacked again. The power of the water world continued to condense in his palm, forming a blue ball of light. The blue ball of light continued to compress, becoming smaller and smaller, but the power it emitted became more and more terrifying. The Seawater King felt great danger and immediately turned to escape. Zhao Fu flicked his hand, and the blue ball of light instantly flew behind the Seawater King. Bang! A huge explosion sounded out, and countless blue rays of light shot out, covering everything in the surroundings. The countless people who had rushed over saw a blue wave of light spread out, causing the ground to violently tremble. The surrounding buildings collapsed, and countless rocks flew everywhere, giving off terrifying sounds. Everyone hurriedly blocked. After the ripples dispersed, the surroundings turned into ruins. Everyone hurried over and saw that the Seawater King's body was injured. There were a few places where blood was flowing, and he was hung up by an iron chain. Beside him stood a mysterious man in a cloak. Everyone immediately rushed over, wanting to save the Seawater King. Zhao Fu smiled and said, "If you dare to move forward, I will kill her." Hearing this, everyone stopped and looked angrily at Zhao Fu. The Seawater King looked weakly at Zhao Fu and asked, "Who are you? What hatred do I have against you?" Zhao Fu smiled and said, "There is no hatred between us. I just want to unify the land of sea demons. Now, you only have one choice, and that is to submit to me." The Seawater King said, "Did you do the Sea Mountain region?" Zhao Fu smiled and nodded. The Seawater King said, "I will not submit to you. If you kill me, you won't be able to leave this place." Zhao Fu lightly laughed as he said, "You're looking down on me too much. Can they stop me?" The Seawater King didn't have any confidence because the man in front of him was not someone an ordinary emptiness realm expert could compare to. Zhao Fu smiled and said, "Tell me, why don't you submit to me?" The Seawater King said, "I'm not convinced. If you had defeated me directly, instead of using such a despicable method, I might have submitted to you." Zhao Fu smiled and said, "If you don't use the power of the spirit realm, do you think you can win?" Hearing this, the Seawater King didn't have any confidence. Her only advantage now was the spirit realm. Without this advantage, she had no chance of defeating Zhao Fu. Zhao Fu smiled and said, "Do you want to try with your emptiness realm cultivation?" The Seawater King looked cold and didn't answer. Zhao Fu smiled and asked, "Are you convinced now?" The Seawater King still didn't speak and just stared coldly at Zhao Fu. Zhao Fu smiled and walked towards the Seawater King. The Seawater King said coldly, "What do you want to do?" Zhao Fu smiled and said, "Of course I want you to submit to me." The Seawater King felt bad and struggled, but couldn't break free. The soldiers immediately went forward, and the leading general shouted angrily, "Let go of our king." Zhao Fu glanced at the crowd and said, "Step down." The crowd looked at each other with awkward expressions. They wanted to save the Seawater King, but they were afraid that Zhao Fu would hurt her. With a smile, Zhao Fu loosened the chains that bound her and hugged the Seawater King. The Seawater King glared at Zhao Fu and said, "If you dare do anything to me, you will regret it." Zhao Fu smiled and said, "I want to see how you will make me regret it." Zhao Fu carried the Seawater King and walked openly to the side. Finally, he walked into a room in front of the crowd, but the soldiers still didn't dare to go forward. A few hours later, the Seawater King bit Zhao Fu's palm. Zhao Fu smiled and looked at the Seawater King. He didn't struggle and let the Seawater King bite. Seeing that Zhao Fu didn't react, the Seawater King coldly harumphed and let go of Zhao Fu. Zhao Fu smiled and said, "Are you convinced now? You're mine now." The Seawater King said angrily, "You damned bastard, you still have the nerve to say that?" Zhao Fu hugged the Seawater King and smiled as he said, "What's there to be embarrassed about? You don't have a choice anymore." The Seawater King angrily looked at Zhao Fu. Indeed, he had no choice. Zhao Fu could do whatever he wanted. Zhao Fu smiled and said, "Sense your body. I've left the water world's power in all directions. I've also helped you improve your constitution, which will be better for your cultivation." The Seawater King sensed it and looked shocked as he looked at Zhao Fu. "How do you have such a massive water world's power?" Zhao Fu smiled and said, I'm currently collecting the water world's power. If you have any news, I'll reward you even more. The Seawater King said, I don't care. Zhao Fu smiled and said, I'm going to go to other territories. The Seawater King said, You control 2 territories now. Zhao Fu replied, You're the third. There's still 3 left. The Seawater King felt much better, and his attitude towards Zhao Fu became less hostile as he nodded. Chapter 33:95. The second part, the Lord's Massacre of the World. Changes in heaven and earth, and countless people enter the dimension. There are mythical creatures, the inheritance of ancient countries, elixirs, and magic treasures. Zhao Fu obtains the inheritance of the Qin Empire and starts the path of the Emperor of Swords sweeping 6 directions. The Eastern World background, a novel setting, the old book will continue to be written. Please support the new book. Thank you. The second part, the Lord's Massacre of the World. The Lord's Massacre of the World. Currently typing, please wait a moment. After the content is updated, please refresh the page to get the latest update. Chapter 33:96. Book 1. Chapter 338. Zhao Fu smiled and said, I'm leaving. The Seawater King responded softly. Zhao Fu opened the door, and the soldiers glared at Zhao Fu. They knew what Zhao Fu had done, but they didn't dare to do anything. The general said coldly, How is our king now? Zhao Fu smiled and said, Don't worry, I didn't hurt her. With that, Zhao Fu turned into a beam of light and shot into the sky, disappearing. After a while, the Seawater King walked out. King, are you okay? The generals came forward and asked with concern. The Seawater King shook his head. What about that man? The generals asked carefully. The Seawater King said, Don't worry about him. Let him be. Also clean up this place. Don't tell anyone about this. Yes, King. The generals obeyed. Zhao Fu came to the next territory. This territory was called the Sea Stone King. He was a middle-aged man with a strong body. He was ranked second among the 6 kings and was much more difficult to deal with than the other kings. Therefore, he had to be careful. After collecting information, Zhao Fu got a very important piece of information. A poisonous fish that lived in the sea could restrain the Sea Stone King's sea stone water control technique. That type of poisonous fish was quite rare, and it required at least Void Realm strength to be effective against the Sea Stone King. If he wanted to deal a fatal blow, he would have to be at the Spirit Realm. As such, Zhao Fu decided to find that type of poisonous fish to deal with the Sea Stone King. This required the power of the water world of 8 directions. Zhao Fu first bought a small poisonous fish that looked like a grouper. There was a long and sharp poisonous sting on its back. This sting could break the Sea Stone King's technique. Zhao Fu used a force to draw out its blood and wrapped it with the power of the water world of 8 directions. It formed a blue ball of light. The blood flowed inside the ball of light, and it looked quite beautiful. This ball of light floated in front of Zhao Fu. Zhao Fu closed his eyes and placed his fingers on his chest. The ball of light emitted many rays of light. Through the blood, Zhao Fu sensed the poisonous fish in the surroundings. Following this feeling, Zhao Fu searched for the poisonous fish. 2 hours later, Zhao Fu encountered a poisonous fish that was 100 meters long. It was the largest poisonous fish Zhao Fu had found. Unfortunately, it was still not strong enough. Zhao Fu continued to search and found another poisonous fish that was over 100 meters long. However, its strength was still too low. Zhao Fu continued to search, and a few hours later, he found a venomous fish that was 300 meters long. Poison fish looked at Zhao Fu warily. He could sense Zhao Fu's power. Zhao Fu slapped out with his palm, sending a wave of energy towards the poisonous fish. The poisonous fish immediately released all of its power, blocking Zhao Fu's attack. Sensing the poisonous fish's power, Zhao Fu sighed. He still could not meet his requirements. After searching for so long, Zhao Fu did not want to keep searching, and he prepared to leave and use other methods to deal with the Sea Stone King. At this moment, The poisonous fish suddenly turned into a short and fat man. Zhao Fu looked quite startled. The short and fat man said, "I'm called Shilong. I heard that you've been looking for my clan and have found many." Zhao Fu nodded. "What's the matter?" Shilong smiled and said, "I should be the one asking you why you're looking for my clan." Zhao Fu said, "I want to find your clan and obtain a poisonous sting to break the Sea Stone King's cultivation technique." Shilong said, "Really?" Zhao Fu smiled and said, "Why would I lie to you?" Shilong said, "I can help you." Zhao Fu asked, "Why? Could it be that you have enmity with him?" Shilong said, "That's right. We have enmity with the Sea Stone King. Because our clan's poison counters him, many of us were killed by him. We've been looking for an opportunity to take revenge, and we can provide you with a poisonous sting. If you succeed, we'll even thank you." Zhao Fu lightly laughed and said, "Sure." Shilong said, "Come with me." Hearing this, Zhao Fu followed Shilong and flew towards a region of water. They arrived in front of a huge fish skeleton. Shilong said, "Come out." A dozen short and fat men and women walked out and looked curiously at Zhao Fu. Some of them said angrily, "Shilong, why did you bring an outsider here?" Shilong smiled and said, "I found someone who can kill the Sea Stone King." A short and fat woman pointed at Zhao Fu and said, "Is he the one you're talking about?" Shilong nodded and said, "He's very strong, far stronger than an ordinary emptiness realm expert. With our clan's poisonous sting, it's very likely that he can kill the Sea Stone King." Another short and fat man said, "Why should we believe him? What if he can't kill it?" The short and fat woman said, "Yes, he's only an emptiness realm expert, but the Sea Stone King has already reached the spirit realm. I don't believe that he can kill the Sea Stone King." A short and fat man said, "Yes, if he can't kill the Sea Stone King, he'll only bring us more trouble." Hearing this, Shilong felt somewhat awkward. Zhao Fu smiled and said, "You guys can only believe me now. Otherwise, you guys can take revenge yourselves." Shilong said, "That's right. We only lost the poisonous sting. With our strength, we can't take revenge. Do you guys dare to take revenge with the poisonous sting?" Everyone looked at each other. No one dared. Shilong said, "Does anyone have any objections? If not, I'll take out the poisonous sting left behind by my ancestor." No one else said anything. Shilong walked up to the huge fishbone and opened his mouth and inhaled. Countless blood-colored auras gathered towards Shilong, forming a 1-meter-long blood-colored fishbone. Holding this fishbone, Shilong walked up to Zhao Fu and handed the fishbone to Zhao Fu. He said, "This fishbone contains the poison left behind by my ancestor. When my ancestor was alive, his cultivation had reached the peak of the spirit realm. It can cause great harm to the Sea Stone King." Zhao Fu extended his hand and took the poisonous sting. When he realized that the fishbone indeed contained a type of poison, he smiled and said, "Yes, leave the rest to me." Shilong smiled and said, "I'll be counting on you." Zhao Fu took out the fishbone and returned to the Sea Stone King's palace. By now, the Sea Stone King had not sensed any danger, and he led his people away. Seeing that there were so many people around him, Zhao Fu was not in a hurry to act. After dealing with these matters, Shilong returned to the palace. A skinny old man laughed as he said, "King, I heard that the Sea King has been injured, and his injuries seem to be quite serious. Now that there is such a huge feud between the two forces, this is an opportunity for our Sea Stone territory." The Sea Stone King smiled and nodded. "Right now, we have to properly develop our strength. When we seize this critical opportunity, our territory will become the most powerful territory." The skinny elder smiled and said, "We believe that King will definitely be able to do this." The two of them chatted for a while before the skinny elder left the palace. Just as the Sea Stone King was about to look at some information, Zhao Fu suddenly acted. He held the fishbone and quickly stabbed it towards the Sea Stone King's chest. Chapter 3397. Book 1. Chapter 339. Stab. The Sea Stone King sensed danger and immediately exploded out with great power, forming a black defensive barrier. The blood-red stinger easily pierced through the defensive barrier, causing the Sea Stone King to feel quite startled. He immediately used another wave of power to make his body as tough as the black reef. Chi! The blood-red stinger easily pierced into the Sea Stone King's body, causing blood to flow out of the wound. The Sea Stone King felt immense pain and turned to look at Zhao Fu as he punched toward Zhao Fu. Zhao Fu blocked with his hands in front of him and was sent flying by that punch, but he was not injured. The guards outside immediately rushed at Zhao Fu. Zhao Fu took out a sword and slashed out a few times, sending out a few blood-red sword lights towards the guards, cutting them into pieces and causing blood to fall to the ground. The Sea Stone King looked quite pained as he took out the stinger in his chest, but his power was continuously weakening. He furiously looked at Zhao Fu and said, "You're seeking death." The Sea Stone King rushed at Zhao Fu and quickly came in front of Zhao Fu. He punched out with shocking power towards Zhao Fu's head, bringing with it a berserk wind. Zhao Fu stood where he was and did not feel any fear at all. He had a confident smile on his face as a black aura flame appeared around his fist, and he vigorously punched out. Bang! A massive sound rang out as the two fists collided. A massive shock wave blasted out, causing the ground around them to collapse. The Sea Stone King looked at Zhao Fu in shock. He had never thought that Zhao Fu would be able to block it. Zhao Fu laughed as he said, "Even if you had your normal cultivation, I wouldn't be afraid. Now that your art has been broken and your strength has continuously fallen, you're no longer a match for me." Zhao Fu's fist pushed forwards, forcing the Sea Rock King back a few steps. Zhao Fu then slashed towards the Sea Rock King, and the Sea Rock King gave off a wave of power to block in front of him. However, he was sent flying, proving that the Sea Rock King was no longer a match for Zhao Fu. The Sea Stone King's expression was unsightly. He understood that he wasn't Zhao Fu's opponent, so he turned around and ran toward his grandmother. Zhao Fu gave off a black energy that formed massive black swords that gave off shocking sword energy as they quickly shot towards the Sea Stone King. Sea Stone King punched out a few times, and a few fish shadows exploded those huge swords. Zhao Fu appeared behind the Sea Rock Monarch and slashed at the Sea Rock Monarch's body, opening up a wound and causing blood to spurt out. The Sea Stone King endured the pain and punched at Zhao Fu's chest. Zhao Fu smiled and dodged the attack. The Sea Rock King ferociously slammed the ground, and a few massive sharp stone pillars shot out from the ground, wanting to pierce through Zhao Fu's body. Zhao Fu backflipped and dodged the attack. The Sea Rock King continued to run. Zhao Fu went up and slashed at the Sea Rock King's back, sending him flying. The Sea Rock King crashed to the ground and coughed up a large mouthful of blood. The Sea Rock King ferociously glared at Zhao Fu. Zhao Fu continued to run towards the Sea Rock King. The Sea Rock King loudly roared and exploded out with all of his power. A shocking aura spread out, and the Sea Rock King punched the ground with both fists, causing the ground to crumble. A massive energy rushed toward Zhao Fu, as if it could destroy everything. Zhao Fu raised his sword and vigorously slashed out. A massive black crescent slashed apart that energy and continued towards the Sea Rock King. The Sea Rock King hurriedly dodged. However, Zhao Fu had already appeared in front of him and stabbed out with his sword, piercing through the Sea Rock King's chest. The Sea Rock King died on the spot. At that moment, many soldiers rushed over. Seeing Zhao Fu kill the Sea Rock King, they were all furious. The skinny elder from before shouted and led his people to charge at Zhao Fu. Zhao Fu lightly laughed and turned into a ray of black light as he shot into the sky. There were too many people here, and it would take a long time to kill them all. Zhao Fu did not want to waste time here. Seeing Zhao Fu leave, everyone was so furious that they could only curse and beat him up. However, Zhao Fu did not leave. His goal was not just to kill the Sea Rock King, but also to control this place. As such, what Zhao Fu wanted to do was to control the generals here. News of the Sea Rock King's death spread, and the territory fell into chaos. Some people contacted various people, wanting to elect a new king. Some people wanted to seize power and become the new king, while others wanted to escape. The first person Zhao Fu found was one of the most powerful people. It was an ordinary-looking, well-built young man called Hai Hai. Hai Hai looked at Zhao Fu and said, "Who killed the Sea Rock King's people?" Zhao Fu nodded. Hai Hai said, "What do you want me to do?" Zhao Fu smiled and said, "Submit to me. You have no choice." Hai Hai said, "Sure." He was clear about Zhao Fu's strength. Zhao Fu had even killed the Sea Rock King, much less him. Now that the Sea Rock King was dead, he no longer had anyone to be loyal to. Zhao Fu looked at Hai Hai and smiled, and a massive wave of power entered Hai Hai's body. Hai Hai did not resist and allowed the power to spread throughout his body. Zhao Fu smiled as he said, "Seeing that you're so tactful, I'll give you some power to properly cultivate." Hearing this, Hai Hai sensed within his body and looked quite shocked. He looked at Zhao Fu with a respectful attitude, and he understood that Zhao Fu's identity was not ordinary at all. Zhao Fu left and went to the next person's residence. He easily took control of these people, and the territory temporarily regained its peace. Shilong found Zhao Fu and said gratefully, "Thank you for helping us kill him." Zhao Fu gave a calm smile as he said, "You're welcome. If your race wants to stay in the territory, I welcome you. I'm the owner of this territory now." Shilong smiled and nodded as he took out a saber and said, "This is a saber passed down from my ancestor. It contains a strange poison that specifically counters stone elements. I hope it will be useful to you." Shilong had said that if Zhao Fu killed Sea Stone King, he would give him a reward, and this was his reward. Zhao Fu looked at it and was not very interested, and he smiled as he said, "No need. Since it's something passed down from your ancestor, you should keep it." Shilong did not insist and smiled as he put it away. The other rulers also heard about this, and now there were only 2 territories that were not controlled by Zhao Fu. After hearing that Sea Stone King had been killed, the Sea Fish King felt quite happy. Even though Zhao Fu was despicable, he was incredibly powerful. If she had not submitted to him, she would have died and her territory would have been controlled. Hai Juanru happily smiled. She knew that the mysterious person who had killed Sea Stone King was Zhao Fu. Looking at Zhao Fu, it seemed that he wanted to unify the land of sea devils and become the most powerful king. Hai Juanru felt quite happy about this, as it was quite beneficial to her. The Sea Fish King sighed. She had already done her best to protect the residents of her territory. Perhaps unifying the land of sea devils was a good thing. Zhao Fu stayed in his territory for a day and felt that nothing would happen, so he headed to the next region. Chapter 3398. The second part, The Lord's Massacre of the World. Changes in heaven and earth, and countless people enter the dimension. There are mythical creatures, the inheritance of ancient countries, elixirs, and magic treasures. Zhao Fu obtains the inheritance of the Qin Empire and starts the path of the Emperor of Swords sweeping 6 directions. The setting of the Eastern world is novel. The old book will continue to be written. Please support the new book. Thank you. The second part, The Lord's Massacre of the World. The Lord's Massacre of the World. Currently typing. Please wait for a moment. After the content is updated, please refresh the page to get the latest update. Chapter 3399. Book 1. Chapter 340 translated by Hypersheep 325 edited by Mike here this time. Zhao Fu found the strongest person in the Sea Demon territory, the Sea King. Because Zhao Fu had heard that the Sea King was injured, he decided to act against him. After arriving at the Sea Spirit territory, the matter had become so big that the Sea King already knew of Zhao Fu's existence. Now, the palace was heavily guarded, with many soldiers standing guard everywhere and all kinds of array formations being activated to prevent anyone from sneaking in. Zhao Fu slightly frowned. It would be very difficult to sneak in like this. After thinking about it, Zhao Fu decided to change his method. Seeing that the Sea King's defenses were so tight, his injuries were definitely not light. He could either sneak in or use others. At this time, the Sea King's injuries were indeed very serious. Back then, he had led people to chase after that old man and forced the old man into a dead end. In the end, the old man had detonated his body, severely injuring him and killing several of his subordinates. Zhao Fu came to the house of a general. This person was also someone that the Sea King trusted. He had a high status in the territory and should be able to enter the palace. The handsome man in the room had a worried expression. Next to him, a slender and pretty woman asked, "What's wrong?" The man was called Hai Fu, and he was the general that Zhao Fu had found. The woman was called Hai Yun, and she was his wife. Hai Fu said, "I feel that our territory is very dangerous right now. That person's next target is either us or another territory. We should have discovered it earlier, but it's already too late. More importantly, the Sea King is seriously injured." Hai Yun said, "What should we do now?" Hai Fu said, "Right now, I just hope that the Sea King can quickly recover and lead everyone through this crisis." Hai Yun said, "I don't think that's possible because that person controls so many territories and can order them to attack us together. Although our territory is ranked first, we can't resist so many soldiers." Hai Fu said with a heavy expression, but there's no other way." Hai Yun said, "Why don't we surrender to that person?" Hai Fu shook his head and looked at Hai Yun seriously. "Don't say this again. I will never betray the Sea King. Do you understand?" Hai Yun said, "I understand." Zhao Fu walked in with a smile. "I think surrendering to me is the best choice." Hai Fu felt quite startled as he looked at Zhao Fu. He knew that Zhao Fu was that person, but he had never thought that he would come here. He yelled, "Hai Yun, hurry and run." Hai Fu held a large saber and gave off a powerful aura as he slashed toward Zhao Fu. Hai Yun also hurriedly ran outside, planning to call someone over. Zhao Fu glanced at Hai Fu, and a powerful force sent Hai Fu flying, causing him to crash to the ground, blood flowing out of the corner of his mouth. Then, Zhao Fu stretched out his hand and grabbed. A powerful force grabbed Hai Yun and pulled her in front of him. He hugged her with one hand. Hai Yun hit Zhao Fu hard with both hands and shouted, "Let me go." Hai Fu's face was filled with rage, and he once again charged at Zhao Fu with his saber. At that moment, numerous pale white tendrils rushed out of the ground and wrapped around Hai Fu's body, causing him to lose his ability to resist. "Husband," Hai Yun cried out worriedly. Zhao Fu smiled as he said, "He's fine now." Hai Yun angrily looked at Zhao Fu and said, "What do you want?" Zhao Fu smiled as he picked up Hai Yun and said, "I want to have you." Hai Yun vigorously struggled, but it was useless. She was still ravaged by Zhao Fu, but she could not get angry. Instead, she felt quite happy. Zhao Fu planned to leave. Hai Yun looked at Zhao Fu and said, "Where are you going? What do you want to do to my man?" Zhao Fu smiled as he said, "I plan to control him to assassinate the Sea King." Hai Yun said anxiously, "No. Aren't you trying to kill my husband?" Zhao Fu smiled as he said, "Seeing that you did quite well, I can keep him alive. Moreover, I won't kill him after this matter is over." Hai Yun looked at him and said, "Really?" Zhao Fu smiled as he nodded. Hai Yun did not say anything else. Zhao Fu controlled Hai Fu and walked towards the palace. When he arrived at the palace gate, a few guards blocked Hai Fu's way. Hai Fu said unhappily, "Even I can't go in." The guard said, "His Majesty has ordered that everyone is forbidden from entering. Please leave, sir." Hai Fu said, "I have something important to report. Inform the Sea King and let me see him." The guard said, "You could discuss it with others. His Majesty said that he won't see anyone." Hai Fu could only turn and leave helplessly. In the distance, Zhao Fu frowned. He did not expect the Sea King to be so cautious. Even the person he trusted the most could not enter. Zhao Fu did not know what to do, so he returned to Hai Yun's house. Seeing that Zhao Fu had returned with Hai Fu, he asked, "The plan failed?" Zhao Fu nodded. Hai Yun said, "He's the most powerful person in the land of sea demons. Don't underestimate him." Zhao Fu smiled and said, "I know. I plan to observe for a few more days and find another way to resolve this matter." Hai Yun nodded. Zhao Fu went up and hugged Hai Yun. Hai Yun did not refuse and said, "When will you turn my husband back to normal?" Zhao Fu said, After this is over, I'll think about it. Haiyan replied, Oh. After waiting for 2 days, Zhao Fu continued to observe near the palace but still did not find anything. Did he really have to gather his forces and attack? It would be best if he could control the last one and make it 5 against 1. Only then would he suffer the least losses. Suddenly, Zhao Fu sensed a spatial fluctuation and immediately followed it to an open space. A handsome man appeared in front of Zhao Fu. This person most likely used something to teleport out of the palace. If he could obtain that thing, he would be able to enter the palace. Zhao Fu smiled in pleasant surprise and was about to grab the handsome young man. However, another beautiful middle-aged woman with an alluring figure and a beautiful face appeared. She wore a green dress and gave off a flirtatious aura. Seeing the beautiful woman, the handsome man could not help but go up and hug her, making all sorts of movements as he said, I missed you so much. The beautiful woman smiled coquettishly and said, Your Highness, I missed you too. I waited for a few days, but you didn't come out. The handsome man said, The situation is special, and I can't come out as I please. I only came out after stealing my mother's command token. Also, did you let that old thing touch you these days? The beautiful woman smiled and said, Of course not, Your Highness. I'm yours now. The handsome man smiled in satisfaction and said, Not bad. When I become king, I'll marry you and make you my queen. The beautiful woman said happily, Thank you, Your Highness. The handsome man pushed the beautiful woman to the ground. The beautiful woman smiled coquettishly and hugged the handsome man. A voice sounded out, Don't you want to see who's here? Hearing this voice, the two of them were given a fright and looked to the side. A mysterious cloaked person had appeared, and the two of them quickly stood up. The handsome man said coldly, Who are you? Zhao Fu smiled and said, You should know why the palace's defenses are so tight, right? Chapter 3400. Book 1. Chapter 341. Battle. The handsome-looking man thought of something, and his face became pale as he immediately turned and ran. Zhao Fu smiled as he grabbed out with his hand, and a powerful wave of energy turned into a large formless hand that grabbed the handsome-looking man. The beautiful woman looked at Zhao Fu with a pale face. She understood that Zhao Fu's identity was quite terrifying, so she did not dare to run. Zhao Fu grabbed the handsome-looking man and asked, How did you leave the palace? The handsome-looking man said coldly, I won't tell you. Zhao Fu lightly laughed as he said, You're asking for trouble. A wave of energy started to corrode the handsome-looking man, causing him to feel immense pain. Soon, he begged for mercy. I'll tell you. Don't continue. Zhao Fu smiled as he stopped. The handsome-looking man took out a command medallion and said, I use this to leave. Zhao Fu took the command medallion and looked at it before knocking the handsome-looking man to the ground. Zhao Fu looked at the beautiful woman. The beautiful woman said pitifully, Sir, please don't kill me. I can do anything. Zhao Fu smiled as he said, Hurry up then. Hearing this, the beautiful woman looked at Zhao Fu in delight and immediately took the initiative to serve Zhao Fu. 2 hours later, Zhao Fu stopped and looked at the beautiful woman as he asked, What is your name? The beautiful woman said flirtatiously, My name is Haiju. Sir, I really like you. I'm fine with anything. Zhao Fu lightly laughed as he said, I understand. However, we'll stop here for today. I still have things to take care of. Haiju said, Sir, is there anything I can help you with? Zhao Fu smiled as he said, No, just wait here obediently. After I kill that Sea King, I'll take control of this territory. Haiju nodded as she said, I believe that Sir will definitely succeed. Zhao Fu smiled as he put on his clothes and left this region. Haiju put on her clothes and looked at the handsome man lying by the side. She slightly smiled and did not look at him again. She felt that she was infatuated with Zhao Fu, and the handsome man could not compare to Zhao Fu at all. Arriving near the royal palace, Zhao Fu took out the command token and tested it. He found that the surrounding restrictions and array formations did not react to the command token. Zhao Fu took the command token and turned into nothingness, entering without encountering any obstacles. He had finally entered, and Zhao Fu gave a trace of a smile as he flew into the palace. Inside the palace, the Ocean King was lying on a bed. His aura was weak, and there were many soldiers standing guard at the door. Zhao Fu snuck into the room without a sound. The people guarding the door didn't notice. Arriving at the Sea King's bedside, Zhao Fu took out his sword and slashed at the Sea King. At that moment, the Sea King was pleasantly surprised and stretched out his hand to block, but his arm was cut off by the sword. Fresh blood flowed out, and the Sea King let out a blood-curdling scream. Zhao Fu thrust his sword at the Sea King. The Sea King hurriedly dodged. None of the people outside the door made any decisions, as Zhao Fu had already blocked all sounds and objects before attacking. The Sea King's expression became unsightly as he asked, "How did you get in?" Zhao Fu smiled as he said, "Is there any point in you asking these questions?" The Sea King gave off a wave of power and vigorously struck out with his palm. A massive palm slammed toward Zhao Fu, bringing with it a powerful gust of wind. Zhao Fu vigorously slashed horizontally with his sword, and a black sword light slashed apart the palm. The Sea King immediately rushed towards the window, wanting to break through it and escape. Zhao Fu stretched out his hand, and a wave of power flowed out, blocking in front of the Sea King. The Sea King rammed into Zhao Fu's wall of power, but he was unable to break through it. The Sea King loudly roared and gave off an even more powerful wave of power. However, Zhao Fu came to the Sea King's side and stabbed towards him. The Sea King miserably rolled on the ground, dodging Zhao Fu's attack. The Sea King no longer had the awe-inspiring aura he had on the ship. Shing! A sword hum sounded out as Zhao Fu swung his sword, sending the Sea King flying with a black crescent. The Sea King stood up and wanted to run. Zhao Fu chased up and pierced through the Sea King's heart, causing the Sea King to fall. After dealing with the Sea King, Zhao Fu picked up his storage ring and looked at it before putting it away and leaving. After dealing with the Sea King, Zhao Fu only needed to control a few generals, and Zhao Fu would be able to control this region. However, what surprised Zhao Fu was that not long after he left, news of the Sea King's death spread. This was because the Queen had gone to see the Sea King, but when she opened the door, all she saw was the Sea King's corpse. The territory fell into chaos. Zhao Fu thought about it and returned to the palace to find the Queen. This Queen was tall and had a beautiful face. She wore a blue-white dress and looked quite lively. Her name was Hai Ling. At that moment, Hai Ling's heart was in chaos and she felt immense pressure. The Sea King was dead, her son was missing, and the territory had fallen into chaos. She wanted to stabilize the situation, but everyone obeyed her orders. Hai Ling felt that everything was over. Zhao Fu smiled and said, "Queen, I can take care of this matter." Hai Ling looked at Zhao Fu and asked, "Who are you?" Zhao Fu smiled and said, "I'm the person who killed the Sea King." Hai Ling said angrily, "You killed my man and still dare to appear in front of me?" Zhao Fu smiled and said, "Queen, aren't you going to consider the current situation? Also, your son is in my hands. If you don't want him to die, then be obedient." Hai Ling coldly harumphed, "What do you want?" Zhao Fu smiled and said, "It's very simple. Have the people of the territory submit to me. I'm too lazy to find them one by one. If they don't want to submit, I'll deal with them." Hai Ling started to think. She did not directly reply to Zhao Fu. Zhao Fu went up and hugged her as he smiled and said, "Hurry up and give the order. After this time, I won't give you a chance." Hai Ling coldly said, "I understand. I'll have people do it now." Zhao Fu was satisfied and turned around to press Hai Ling under him. After hearing the Queen's order, everyone understood that it was Zhao Fu who had done it. Everyone was very shocked that Zhao Fu could still kill the Sea King, even under such precautions. If several territories submitted to him, there was no point in resisting and they would still lose in the end. Most people chose to surrender, but a small number were unwilling and planned to escape. Hai Ling's face was rosy as she sat in Zhao Fu's arms and said, "I've done as you said. Where's my son now?" Zhao Fu smiled and said, "Someone will send your son back soon." Hai Ling said, "Also, I hope you could do what you promised me." Zhao Fu hugged Hai Ling and said with a smile, "Okay, I know. I won't slaughter the people of your territory, and I don't need to. As for you, you're still the queen. I'll leave the territory to you, okay?" Hai Ling leaned on Zhao Fu's shoulder, and her expression softened. Following this, many people who were willing to submit to Zhao Fu came to the palace to see Zhao Fu. After Zhao Fu accepted their offer, he took some people to chase down those who were unwilling to surrender. Now that they were the unstable elements, they had to be dealt with quickly. Chapter 34:01. Book 1. 342-inch hurry and run. A tall and bright-looking man yelled, telling the people behind him to quickly escape. Zhao Fu was currently leading soldiers to chase after them. The soldiers quickly caught up, and the two sides clashed. The bright-looking man swung his sword and slashed at a few soldiers, and the people behind him quickly ran away in fear. Zhao Fu flew over and saw that the bright-looking man had already killed some soldiers. He slapped out with his hand, and a formless energy sent the bright-looking man flying back, causing him to cough up a mouthful of blood. Boom! An explosion sounded out as a black-clothed, middle-aged man exploded out with immense power and leapt up from the ground, slashing his large saber toward Zhao Fu. Zhao Fu gave a trace of a smile and grabbed out with his hand, easily catching the incoming saber. The black-clothed man was given a big fright and immediately let go of the saber and kicked toward Zhao Fu's head. Zhao Fu slammed his palm against his abdomen, sending him flying back before throwing out the saber. The saber turned into a black blur and pierced through the black-clothed man's chest. The black-clothed man fell from the sky dead. "Bastard!" A sharp cry sounded out as a woman holding a halberd furiously flew over and stabbed her halberd toward Zhao Fu. This woman's figure was not bad, and she looked quite heroic. Seeing that the valiant-looking woman was about to attack him, Zhao Fu dodged to the side. The valiant-looking woman vigorously swung her halberd to the side, and Zhao Fu once again retreated, dodging another attack from the valiant-looking woman. The woman felt quite angry and gave off a powerful aura as she rushed to Zhao Fu. However, Zhao Fu suddenly went up and hugged the woman, causing her to vigorously struggle as she cursed. "You scum! Let go of me!" Zhao Fu laughed as he said, "I won't let go." The woman opened her mouth, preparing to bite Zhao Fu. A wave of energy immediately entered her body, controlling her body. Zhao Fu looked down and smiled as he said, "Kill them all." Hearing this, the heroic-looking woman's eyes became red, and she said, "Don't kill them." Zhao Fu smiled and said, "Why? You were the ones who didn't want to surrender to me. Why won't you let me kill you?" The heroic-looking woman said, "I can convince them to surrender." Now, the heroic-looking woman knew that she was no match for Zhao Fu. If they did not choose to surrender, they would all be killed here. She did not want them all to die, so she could only choose to submit to Zhao Fu. Hearing this, Zhao Fu let go of the heroic-looking woman and ordered the soldiers to stop. The heroic-looking woman shouted, "Everyone, surrender!" Everyone looked at each other and put down their weapons. They knew that if they didn't surrender, they would die, and they didn't want to die here. The sunny man shouted angrily, "Sister, he just killed our father, and you're going to surrender to him." The heroic woman felt uncomfortable and didn't know what to say. She didn't want to surrender, but she didn't want her entire family to die. Zhao Fu snorted, "You're courting death." Zhao Fu grabbed at the air, and a formless hand grabbed onto the sunny man's throat and lifted him up. The sunny man looked incredibly pained as he struggled. The heroic-looking woman hurriedly said, "Please don't kill my big brother." Zhao Fu blasted a wave of power against the sunny man's body, knocking him unconscious before tossing him to the side. Seeing this scene, everyone else did not dare to resist and chose to surrender. Seeing everyone surrender, Zhao Fu gave a satisfied smile and had people take them away, leaving only a few women behind. The first was a beautiful middle-aged woman wearing a black dress and had a calm aura. She was called Hai Jun, and she was the wife of the black-clothed man and the heroic-looking woman. The second had a graceful figure and a sweet face. She was called Hai Su, and she was the heroic-looking woman's cousin. The third was tall and had a cold aura. She was called Hai Yun, and she was the sunny man's fiancée. The fourth wore a red dress and had a mature figure. She was the butler, Hai Yi. The last was the heroic-looking woman, who was called Hai Mu. Hai Jun coldly looked at Zhao Fu and said, "Why are you keeping us here?" Zhao Fu evilly laughed as he said, "What do you think I'll do?" Hai Jun said angrily, "You just kill my man and want to have me. Even if you kill me, I won't agree." Hai Yi said, "If you need anything, come at me. Don't hurt anyone else." Hai Yin stood there and coldly looked at Zhao Fu. She definitely would not agree. She already had a man she liked. Hai Su felt quite nervous. Zhao Fu laughed as he said, "Do you think there's still room for discussion? Do I need your opinions?" What a joke. Everyone angrily glared at Zhao Fu. Zhao Fu walked towards the center. 2 hours later, Hai Su's face was red as she looked at Hai Jun, who was clinging to Zhao Fu. She was no longer as angry and arrogant as before, and Hai Yun had collapsed to the side. Hai Yi was still hugging Zhao Fu, while Hai Mu and Zhao Fu were affectionate. After another 2 hours, Hai Su also fell into Zhao Fu's embrace. Zhao Fu gave a satisfied smile as he said, "Pack up. I'll go and kill some other people later." Hai Jun looked at Zhao Fu with a complicated expression as she said, "How do you plan to deal with us?" Zhao Fu smiled as he said, "In the future, you'll all be my women, so I naturally won't deal with you. In the future, you'll all manage this territory together." Hai Jun felt quite surprised. "Are you really that good to us?" Zhao Fu looked at Hai Jun and smiled as he said, "As long as you become my women, I'll treat you just as well." Hai Mu sighed. "If we knew things would turn out like this, we would have surrendered earlier. That way, Dad wouldn't have been like this." Hai Jun looked at Zhao Fu and angrily pinched Zhao Fu. She finds it very difficult to forgive Zhao Fu for this. Zhao Fu lightly laughed. "It was you who wanted to resist, and I gave you a chance. Don't blame me." Hai Yin lightly harumphed. "If not you, who should we blame?" Hai Jun asked. "The queen has also submitted to you. Is it also because you have taken her?" Zhao Fu nodded. Hai Jun thought to herself that as Zhao Fu's women in the future, it would be easier for them to get along with each other, and they would receive various benefits. Hai Yin suddenly said, "I hope that you can let Hai Min in." Zhao Fu smiled as he said, "Hai Min is Hai Mu's big brother? I can let him off. He's quite handsome and has a fiancé like you." Hai Yin's face became red, and she rolled her eyes at Zhao Fu. Following this, Zhao Fu left and continued to kill those who had rebelled. Hai Jun and the others returned to the territory. Seeing the rebelling people being eliminated, Queen Hai Ling felt relieved. The territory would soon return to stability. A handsome man ran in. He was called Hai Fu, and he was Hai Ling's son. Zhao Fu had obtained the command medallion from him. Hai Fu cried out, "Royal mother, royal father died? Why did such a thing happen?" Hai Ling angrily looked at Hai Fu and said, "You still have the face to say that?" Hai Fu said guiltily, "I never thought that that person would kill royal father. Now that that person is there, I want to take revenge." Chapter 3402, Book 1, Chapter 343. Revenge. Hai Ling said coldly, "What revenge do you want now? The territory is all his. Behave yourself when you see him in the future, understand?" Hai Ling said unwillingly, "But he killed my father." Hai Ling said, "I know, but you and I are not his opponent, so we can only obey him. In the future, you will still be the prince of the territory." Hai Ling looked at Hai Ling and said, "Mother, I also heard that you have become his woman. Is that true?" Hai Ling nodded. Hai Ling said angrily, "Why?" Hai Ling sighed. "Mother has her own difficulties, but it is also for you, for your territory. Otherwise, I would never obey him." Zhao Fu said with a smile, "What did you say?" Hai Ling looked at Zhao Fu, who walked in, and her expression changed. She was a little flustered and stepped forward. "It's nothing." Husband, you're back so soon? Zhao Fu put his arm around Hai Ling and said with a smile, Those people are a bunch of trash. I dealt with them very easily. Hai Ling looked at Zhao Fu angrily. Hai Ling said with a smile, It's all thanks to husband's help. Zhao Fu smiled and did not speak. Hai Ling was worried that Hai Pu would cause trouble and said, Hurry up and leave. Hai Ling left reluctantly. Watching him leave, Zhao Fu hooked Hai Ling's chin and said, I heard what you said just now. Hai Ling looked at Zhao Fu and said nervously, Then what do you want? Do you want to cripple me? Or kill me? Zhao Fu said with a smile, I'm not stupid. You must have your reasons for obeying me, and I can accept all of them. If you say that you fell in love with me, then people will doubt your motives. Hai Ling breathed a sigh of relief and said, Husband, I will be your woman in the future. Zhao Fu nodded with a smile. Hai Ling said with a smile, I also prepared some gifts for you. Zhao Fu smiled and said, What gift? Hai Ling had people bring in 6 beautiful women. One had a voluptuous figure and a charming temperament. One had a gentle and quiet temperament. One had short hair and a tall figure. One had a delicate face and a slim figure. One was beautiful and wore a pink dress, and one had a cold face and wore a white dress. Zhao Fu sat on the throne and hugged Sea Spirit as he asked, They are? Sea Spirit smiled and said, They're the 6 princesses of the palace. Now they're all yours. Zhao Fu chuckled. All of you come here. Hearing this, the women chuckled and walked to Zhao Fu's side. Several hours later, many beautiful women had ruddy complexions and were panting for breath. Sea Spirit turned and leaned against Zhao Fu's chest. Are you satisfied? Zhao Fu smiled and nodded. Sea Spirit said with a smile, As long as you are satisfied. Zhao Fu said, Now that this place has been stabilized, I'll leave it to you. I'm heading to the last territory. Sea Spirit said, Husband, what do you want to do with 6 territories? Zhao Fu said with a smile, Nothing much. By the way, as the strongest territory, your territory should know the most information. I want to ask if you have any information about the water world. Sea Spirit thought about it and shook her head. Zhao Fu showed a disappointed expression and said, Okay. Sea Spirit said, Husband, I'll help you collect information right away. Zhao Fu shook his head and said, No need. I've already asked a few people in the territory. They are also collecting information. It's possible that there really isn't a water world here. Sea Spirit said with a smile, I'll help you collect information. The real land of sea demons is very big. Maybe we can find it. Zhao Fu said with a smile, Okay, if you find it, I'll reward you. Sea Spirit said with a smile, Okay. Zhao Fu looked at the princesses lying next to him and said with a smile, You all have the power of the water world that I left in your bodies. Do well in the future. The princesses smiled happily and nodded. Zhao Fu left this territory and came to the last territory. Now that the strongest territory had been destroyed by Zhao Fu, dealing with the last one was almost no problem. The people in this territory did not want to accept their fate, so they all entered a state of war and could participate in the war at any time. Zhao Fu came to the territory, but it directly prohibited outsiders from entering. Zhao Fu could only choose to sneak in and go directly to the palace. This place was called the Sea Marshal Territory, and the Lord was the Sea Marshal King, a woman who was also very strong. Arriving at the palace, Zhao Fu was a bit surprised. There were no restrictions or guards, which was very strange. The palace was an important place, so it was impossible for there to be no guards. Was there a trap? For a moment, Zhao Fu did not dare to directly break in, so he prepared to collect information nearby. Zhao Fu then sneaked into a minister's home, but after looking around, he did not find the minister, nor did he see his relatives. Only some servants were left here. It was very strange. Zhao Fu grabbed a servant and asked, Where did your minister and relatives go? The servant said fearfully, They went to every place. Zhao Fu asked, What place? When did this happen? The servant replied, This lowly one does not know where it was, but it was yesterday. Zhao Fu continued to ask, Did all the ministers, generals, and their relatives leave? The servant nodded. Zhao Fu asked, Where did the people from the palace go? The servant shook his head. We don't know. Zhao Fu understood that he did not know, so he did not make things difficult for him. He left a restriction on him and did not kill him before leaving the minister's home. Finally, he came to the outside of the palace. Zhao Fu still did not dare to enter. According to the information he had, the Sea Warrior King must have set a trap for him. If he rushed in recklessly, there would definitely be an accident. After a while, Zhao Fu thought of a sinister plan. Zhao Fu came to a street and pressed a hand on the ground. A black and blood-red magic array appeared, and a huge black and blood-red aura spread and poured into the bodies of the people. The people's bodies were stiff and their eyes were dull. They were completely controlled by Zhao Fu, and there were about 1,000 of them. Zhao Fu controlled 1,000 people to walk towards the palace. If there was a trap, the people would definitely die. They were not Zhao Fu's people, so if they died, they would die. Let's see if the Sea Warrior King would kill so many of his people. The people were like walking corpses, walking forward step by step. Finally, they walked into the palace, but nothing happened. Zhao Fu had a strange look on his face. Did I think wrong? There are no traps here? At this time, Zhao Fu was not in a hurry to break in. Instead, he released the control of the people. The people came back to their senses and found that they were in the palace. They had a strange look on their faces and immediately retreated. After observing the surroundings for a while, Zhao Fu also walked into the palace. At that moment, a huge vortex appeared and a terrifying aura spread like a tide. Zhao Fu's expression changed. There was indeed a trap here. Chapter 34:03. Book 1. Zhao Fu was stunned. Countless amounts of seawater flowed out, quickly covering the entire ground. Zhao Fu tried to retreat, but the seawater immediately gathered toward Zhao Fu and wrapped around Zhao Fu's legs. Zhao Fu vigorously struggled free. The seawater continued to flow toward Zhao Fu, forming a massive whirlpool that covered Zhao Fu. Zhao Fu exploded out with great power, but he was unable to break free. The seawater continuously flowed out, forming an ocean that trapped Zhao Fu within. Zhao Fu took out a sword and slashed out with all of his strength, sending out a massive sword energy. Countless rays of black sword light shot out from the water, and the massive whirlpool was shattered by the sword energy, turning into countless streams of water. A mountain-like pressure weighed down on Zhao Fu's body, causing Zhao Fu's body to sink. The water around him continuously rose, and an even greater water pressure descended on Zhao Fu's body, pressing down on Zhao Fu and causing the ground to crack. The water pressure did not stop and continuously became heavier, wanting to crush Zhao Fu into meat paste. Roar! A dragon's roar sounded out as Zhao Fu turned into a massive black dragon and gave off terrifying dragon power as he ferociously charged upwards, causing the water to scatter as he leapt into the sky. The water on the ground once again gathered, forming an enormous water giant. It stretched out a large hand and grabbed towards the black dragon that Zhao Fu had turned into. The black dragon twisted its body, dodging the water giant's hand and flying higher. The water giant raised its hands and grabbed towards the black dragon. Boom! The black dragon spat out an enormous black beam of light that ferociously pierced through the water giant's body, causing the water giant's body to collapse. Below, the water gave off boundless blue light, and a massive wave of power spread out. Swish, swish, swish! Huge water balls shot out one after another, densely packed as they shot towards the black dragon in the sky. The sounds were extremely shocking. The black dragon circled in the sky, and a massive black defensive barrier appeared, covering the black dragon's massive body. Bang! Bang, bang, bang! One after another, the water balls collided with the defensive barrier and turned into countless splashes. The impact caused the huge black defensive barrier to tremble continuously. Suddenly, the countless water balls stopped attacking, and the huge water surface began to surge. Boom! A massive pillar of water instantly shot out, bringing with it a powerful force as it slammed into the black barrier above. Many cracks appeared on the defensive barrier, and then the barrier shattered. When Zhao Fu saw this, he immediately turned around and flew outside. A blue barrier blocked in front of Zhao Fu, wanting to trap him within it. Zhao Fu swiped out with his dragon claw, and a powerful force slammed against the blue barrier. The dragon claw pierced through the barrier and tore open a large hole in it before flying out. Zhao Fu looked at the blue barrier and said, "Boom!" Everyone in the palace looked at the black dragon flying away with solemn expressions. The leader was a woman with a hot figure and a ponytail. She had a cold face and wore tight clothes. She was the owner of this territory, the Sea Warrior King. An elegant woman in white next to her couldn't help but say, "This person is too strong. Even such a formation couldn't trap him. The one who saw him should be someone from the dragon race. The dragon race of the water race is not to be trifled with." The Sea Warrior King said, "I also underestimated him." The woman in white was called Hai, and she asked, "King, what should we do now?" The Sea Warrior King shook his head. "I don't know what to do either. If he wasn't caught this time, there won't be a next time. I don't know what method he will use to obtain our territory." Hai said, "King, now that the land of sea demons belongs to him, why don't we submit to him as well? There's no need to increase meaningless casualties." The Sea Warrior King said, "Let me think about it." Hai didn't say anything. Everyone continued to stay in the palace. It was safe here, and that person couldn't break in. Zhao Fu fled the royal city and stopped in a nearby open space. This time, Zhao Fu didn't expect to fall into a trap. He was a little too careless. Fortunately, Zhao Fu was strong, or else he would have been caught by the trap. At this moment, Zhao Fu didn't know how to take down this territory, and he had a headache. 2 hours later, Zhao Fu received a piece of news. He was very surprised that the Sea Warrior King wanted to surrender. Could this be another trap? Zhao Fu, who had just been fooled once, naturally wouldn't believe it easily. After thinking for a while, Zhao Fu decided to use his clone to take a look. His main body stayed here. He came to the entrance of the palace again. There were many guards here now, and it wasn't as empty as before. When the guards saw Zhao Fu, they saluted, "Your Excellency, the king is waiting for you in the palace." Zhao Fu looked at the guards, hesitated for a moment, and walked into the palace. He came to the main hall. The Sea Warrior King sat on the throne, and Hai stood to the side. There were also many officials, and everyone looked at Zhao Fu who walked in. The Sea Warrior King said, "Tell me, who are you?" Zhao Fu chuckled. "Do you look like you want to surrender to me?" The Sea Warrior King walked down from the throne and came in front of Zhao Fu. He looked at Zhao Fu. "Is it okay now?" Zhao Fu smiled and said, "My identity can't be known by too many people." Hearing this, the Sea Warrior King said, "All of you can leave." The ministers left, and the palace door closed. In the end, only the Sea Warrior King and Hai stayed. The Sea Warrior King said, "Speak." Zhao Fu smiled and walked to the throne. "I am the young sect master of the Pure Water Sect." The Sea Warrior King said in surprise, "You are not for the Dragon Clan?" Zhao Fu was stunned. He understood that the Sea Warrior King had misunderstood his identity when he turned into a black dragon. He smiled and said, "I am indeed from the Dragon Clan, but I might not have anything to do with the Dragon Clan of the Water Realm." Hai looked at Zhao Fu and said, "I don't think your identity is that simple." Zhao Fu smiled and said, "I have already told you that I am the young sect master of the Pure Water Sect. I won't say anything else." The Sea Warrior King said, "Let me ask you a question." Zhao Fu smiled and said, "Go ahead." The Sea Warrior King said, "What is your purpose in controlling the 6 territories of the sea demons?" Zhao Fu smiled and said, "Nothing, it's purely on a whim." The Sea Warrior King said angrily, "You want to control the land of the sea demons on a whim?" Zhao Fu looked at the Sea Warrior King and said, "Why? I can't. Also, don't think that I can't do anything to your territories. I can kill all of you." Hai looked at the Sea Warrior King and said, "King, you should calm down." With Zhao Fu's identity as the young sect master of the Pure Water Sect, he could easily kill them. Even without using his identity, he could directly let the people of the other 5 territories attack. They would not be able to resist. The Sea Warrior King snorted coldly. Zhao Fu looked at the Sea Warrior King and said, "Do you surrender to me now? If not, I will leave." The Sea Warrior King said, "I can surrender to you, but you must promise not to kill the people of our territories at will. Also, I hope that our territories can retain the right to govern themselves. Of course, you can appoint some important positions." Chapter 3404. Book 1. Chapter 345. Zhao Fu chuckled. "I can agree to all of this. I don't want to care about your territory. You're still the king of the territory, so nothing can change." The Sea Warrior King looked at Zhao Fu. "I don't know what you're thinking." Zhao Fu smiled. "I don't have any thoughts as long as you submit to me. By the way, have you heard any news about the omniscient water world?" The Sea Warrior King thought about it and said, "No." Zhao Fu was not surprised. "Okay." The Sea Warrior King looked at Zhao Fu. "Did you come to the land of the sea demons to find the omniscient water world?" Zhao Fu nodded. The Sea Warrior King said, "It's useless to you, even if you're a mighty figure. What do you want that thing for?" Zhao Fu sat on the throne and smiled slightly. 11 omniscient water worlds appeared around him, emitting countless blue lights. A supreme aura of the water race spread out. The Sea Warrior King and Hai Yi were stunned, as if they had seen a god. They had a feeling of wanting to kneel down and submit, and their minds went blank. Zhao Fu looked at the two of them standing in place and smiled as he withdrew the omniscient water world. The Sea Warrior King and Hai Yi came back to their senses and looked at Zhao Fu in shock. "Why do you have so many omniscient water worlds?" Zhao Fu chuckled. "Come here, I'll tell you." The Sea Warrior King rolled his eyes at Zhao Fu. "Don't think that I don't know what you want to do. I've long heard that you've taken all the women in the other territories." Zhao Fu smiled. "Then are you willing?" The Sea Warrior King snorted. "I won't go over anyway." Zhao Fu smiled and walked down, reaching out and hugging the Sea Warrior King and Hai Yi. A few hours later, Zhao Fu sat on the throne with the Sea Warrior King and Hai Yi sitting on either side. The Sea Warrior King smiled. "Thank you." The Sea Warrior King could feel the power of the omniscient water world that Zhao Fu left in her body, which was of great help to her. Zhao Fu smiled. "You're welcome," the Sea Marshal King said with a smile. "Now it seems that submitting to you was a very wise choice." Zhao Fu chuckled. "I'm worried that this is a trap, so my main body hasn't arrived yet." Sea Marshal King said angrily, "Are you an avatar now?" Zhao Fu nodded. The Sea Marshal King snorted coldly. "Leave now. Come over with your main body. I don't want to be with a clone." Zhao Fu said helplessly, "What's the difference? Isn't it still me?" Sea Marshal King said, "I just mind. If I knew you were an avatar, I wouldn't have given it to you." Zhao Fu said, "Okay, my main body will come over immediately." After saying that, Zhao Fu's doppelganger disappeared, and his main body appeared in the palace. The Sea Warrior King looked at Zhao Fu, still a little angry. Zhao Fu smiled and said, "My main body is here. What else do you want?" Sea Marshal King did not speak. Zhao Fu stepped forward and comforted him. In the end, Zhao Fu returned to the inn. Haiji looked at Zhao Fu and said with a smile, "Husband, you settled it so quickly." Zhao Fu smiled and said, "This matter is more troublesome than I thought. It took so much time, so how can it be fast?" Haiji stepped forward and said, "Congratulations on becoming the strongest king in the land of sea demons, husband." Zhao Fu smiled and said, "You're the princess." Hai Wei snorted softly. Zhao Fu also hugged Hai Wei and said with a smile, "You too." Hai Lu stood on the side, enviously. She also wanted to jump into Zhao Fu's arms, but her man was watching from the side. Her two daughters were also watching with envy. Zhao Fu smiled and said, "I'll take you to the palace." Everyone smiled and nodded. In the palace hall, Sea Fish King looked at Zhao Fu and said, "Did you subdue the last Sea Marshal King? Why haven't I heard the news yet?" Zhao Fu smiled and said, "I'll announce it later." Sea Fish King nodded. Zhao Fu said, "Help me spread the news." In the future, the land of sea demons' 6 territories will merge into one. Call the others over. We'll all be family in the future. Sea Fish King smiled and nodded. I'll do it right away. This news spread and caused a huge sensation. Countless people were enthusiastically discussing, guessing who had the ability to unify the 6 territories. This was a good thing for everyone. They did not have to worry about territories fighting each other. Sea Fish King, Sea Water King, and Sea Marshal King remained unchanged. Hai Juanru and Hai Ling became the new kings, and Sea Stone King's territory was given to Hai Ji by Zhao Fu. The 6 kings had all become women. The hall was in chaos, and the women were all present. Zhao Fu smiled and said, You've all been collecting information about the water world in all directions. Have you found anything? Sea Water King blushed and said shyly, Can you ask later? Zhao Fu smiled and said, All right. A day later, Zhao Fu sat on the throne, and there were women lying around him with reddened faces, looking quite satisfied. Zhao Fu hugged the Sea Fish King and said, Can you tell me now? Sea Water King said apologetically, I've already sent people to collect information, but I haven't found anything. I'm very sorry. Sea Fish King said, I haven't found anything either. There shouldn't be any here. Zhao Fu smiled and said, Then I'll be leaving the land of sea demons and looking elsewhere. Sea Water King blushed and said, Can you take me with you? Zhao Fu smiled and said, You're all here. I don't want to take anyone else with me. Haiji looked at Zhao Fu and asked softly, Husband, you should be fine, right? Zhao Fu nodded. Haiji said, Do you remember what you promised me? Zhao Fu smiled and said, Of course I do. Tell me what you want. I'll leave after I'm done. Haiji smiled and said, I want you to help me stabilize a body of water near my hometown. Zhao Fu asked curiously, Your hometown? Haiji smiled and explained, Husband, didn't I tell you before that I have half of the sea demon's bloodline? My hometown is in the south of the sea demon region, and it's quite a distance from the land of sea demons. The land of sea demons occupied 1% of the sea demon region. Others who came to explore and obtain treasures went to the sea demon region, not to the land of sea demons. The land of sea demons was like a relay station that provided rest and supplies. Zhao Fu smiled and said, All right, we'll go back tomorrow. Sea Marshal King reminded, Even though we don't invade the sea demon race, the sea demon race is very dangerous. Some are especially savage and eat people. Zhao Fu smiled and said, I know, don't worry. Highway said reluctantly, Come back as soon as you have time. I don't want to keep waiting for you. Zhao Fu smiled and nodded. Hai Lu looked at him and said softly, I want to be your woman. I hope you can give my husband some compensation. Is that okay? Zhao Fu chuckled and said, Of course. Hai Lu smiled happily. She would not use the tracks in the future. Her 2 daughters had complicated expressions. On one hand, they wanted their father, and on the other hand, they wanted to be with Zhao Fu. The next day, Zhao Fu followed Hai Ji to her hometown. Chapter 34:05 Heaven and Earth changed, and countless people entered a different world. There were mythical creatures, inheritances of ancient countries, magical treasures, and gods. Zhao Fu obtained the inheritance of the Qin Empire and began to conquer the world with his sword. The new book, Lord's Soldiers Conquering the World, was signed. The second book, Lord's Massacre Conquering the World, please wait for a moment. After the content is updated, please refresh the page to get the latest update. Chapter 3406 Book 1 Chapter 346 Sea Demon. The 2 of them unleashed their defensive barriers and avoided the water around them as they flew in a certain direction. Half a day later, Zhao Fu and Hai Li came to a reef mountain, and Zhao Fu asked, This is your homeland? Hai Li nodded and smiled as she said, Come with me. Zhao Fu followed Hai Li towards the reef mountain. There were many caves on the reef mountain, and it seemed that there were people living in them. At that moment, a few creatures swam over. They had dark gray skin, and their hands and feet were like sharp claws. Their hair was lush black, and their eyes were also black. They all wore simple clothes that covered their bodies. The men were all very handsome, and the women were all very flirtatious. Hailey spoke first. "I'm Highland's daughter." Hearing this, the sea devils looked at each other, and a man said, "I heard that you left for many years. Why did you come back now?" Hailey smiled as she said, "I brought my husband back to take a look." The man said, "All right, go in and remember our sea devil rules." Hailey nodded. The sea devils swam away, and Hailey pulled Zhao Fu's hand as they continued to fly. On the way, many sea devils looked over curiously. A handsome-looking man saw Hailey and said happily, "Hailey, you're back." Hailey smiled as she said, "Big brother Highway, long time no see." Highway went up and smiled as he said, "Where have you been after leaving for so many years? We've all missed you." Hailey replied, "It's a long story, and I'll have to introduce you. This is my husband." Hearing this, Highway looked at Zhao Fu with some hostility. Hailey was the woman he had liked since he was young, but now she had become another man's woman. Zhao Fu ignored this person's hostility. Hailey said, "I'm busy, big brother Highway. I'll talk to you another day." After saying this, Hailey pulled Zhao Fu and continued to walk. They came to a large cave and flew in before coming to a door. Hailey went up and pushed open the door. There was a large space inside, and there were a few rooms. A beautiful woman with a voluptuous figure and a seductive aura walked out and said coldly as she looked at Hailey, "You still know to come back." She was Hailon, Hailey's mother. Hailey said, "Mother, I came back this time for something. After I'm done, I'll save you. If you don't want to see me, then I won't come back again." Hearing this, Hailon looked at Hailey angrily. Zhao Fu stepped forward and said with a smile, "Annie, Hailey is a little immature. Please don't be angry." Hailon looked at Zhao Fu and asked, "Who are you?" Ocean Lips said, "He's my man." Hailon said unhappily, "Why don't you find a siren man? Your mother found another aquatic creature and fell for it once. Don't you remember?" Hailey snorted, "He's different from what you think. He's the young master of the pure water sect, and he's in control of the water world. In the future, he'll definitely become the supreme leader of the water clan." Hailon looked at Zhao Fu in shock. "Is what my daughter said true?" Zhao Fu smiled and nodded. Hailon smiled. "Then I won't oppose you two being together, but I hope you won't let my daughter down. No matter who you are, I'll make you pay the price." Zhao Fu said with an affirmative smile, "Auntie, don't worry. I'll be responsible for Hailey." Hailey walked into the room with Zhao Fu in her hand. Zhao Fu said with a smile, "I feel like you and my mother have a lot of conflicts." Hailey nodded. "My mother and I have had a bad relationship since we were young. She either locked me up at home or forced me to marry a siren man." Zhao Fu said, "I think she loves you very much. She's doing this for your own good." Hailey rolled her eyes at Zhao Fu. "I know." Zhao Fu said with a smile, "Where's the chaotic water you mentioned? After I stabilize this water, I'll continue to look for the water world." Hailey hugged Zhao Fu and said with a smile, "It's already late. I'll take you there tomorrow." Zhao Fu understood and nodded with a smile. Hailon had wanted to prepare some food, and she was very happy that Hailey had returned. She hoped that Hailey could stay by her side, and that Hailey had found a good man like Zhao Fu. Suddenly, Hailon heard some noise and could not help but go over to take a look. She was somewhat surprised by Zhao Fu's perfect face. Seeing her daughter so happy, Hailon blushed and went back to cook. A few hours later, Hailey lay on Zhao Fu's body and said with a smile, "Husband, go and look for my mother. I know you're interested in her." Zhao Fu smiled and nodded. Seeing Zhao Fu walk out, Hailon's face also became red. She had been listening outside for a few hours, and it was hard for her to bear. Zhao Fu smiled and said, "Auntie, Hailey wants to bring you in." Hailon rolled her eyes at Zhao Fu. "How can I do that?" Zhao Fu went up and hugged Hailon as he said, "Can I help you ease the tension? You don't want to continue like this with your daughter, right?" Hearing this, Hailon thought about it and lightly nodded. Zhao Fu smiled as he carried Hailon into the room. Hailey and Zhao Fu continuously violated Hailon and smiled as they said, "Mother, you've never experienced this feeling before, right?" Hailon blushed as she said, "Mem, You're better than your mother to find such a man. Hailey smiled as she said, I already said that not all men are like my father. There are bad men in the Sea Devil clan. Do you agree with me now? Hailon did not know how to reply. She could not change her long-held views. Hailey gestured to Zhao Fu. Hailon quickly made a sound of disdain, but in the end, she could only agree with Hailey's view. Afterwards, Hailey looked at Zhao Fu and said, Husband, did you give my mother the power of the water world in all directions? Zhao Fu replied, Of course I did. Hailey smiled as she said, Mother, feel the power of the water world in your body. It will be of great help to you. Hailon sensed it and revealed a look of shock. The power exceeded her expectations. Hailey smiled as she said, Mother, I'll tell you something good. I've become the Sea Stone region's king. Hailon asked in surprise, How did you become the Sea Stone region's king? Hailey hugged Zhao Fu and smiled as she said, My husband unified the Ocean Devil region and made me the king of the Sandstone territory. I want to take you back with me. Zhao Fu smiled as he looked at Hailey. Hailon said, I don't want to go. I've always lived here and don't want to leave. Hailey said unhappily, What's so good about this place? Hailon said awkwardly, Then let me think about it. Hailey nodded. The next day, many people came to Hailey's family because Hailon had told everyone about Hailey becoming the Sea Stone region's king and about Zhao Fu. This was like telling everyone that one son or daughter had made a name for themselves and telling everyone would give them face. Hearing this news, many people naturally came to curry favor with Hailey, which was why such a scene had occurred. Zhao Fu and Hailey walked out, and everyone else smiled as they walked over, saying things like, Hailey, you're doing too well now. Hailey, I've never been wrong about you. You're the young sect master of the Clean Water sect, and I can tell that you're no ordinary person. Chapter 3407. Book 1. Chapter 347. Battle. Hearing these words, Zhao Fu and Hailey could only reply with a few words before sending them off. Hailey smiled. Hailey said discontentedly, Mother, why'd you tell them all of this? Hailon smiled as she said, It's not an important secret, and I didn't tell them what you didn't want me to tell them. Also, isn't it good for everyone to be happy? Hailey said, Forget it, Mother. I'm going to take husband to that chaotic region of water. Hailon said, Why are you going there? Hailey said, I want my husband to stabilize that region of water so that no one will have to worry about being sucked into it and losing their lives. Hailon nodded. This is a great thing for our tribe. Hailey said, Then, Mother, we'll be going. Hailon said, Be careful. Hailey brought Zhao Fu to a region of water in the north that was very close to the Reef Mountains and explained, This region of water is very chaotic, and sometimes there are whirlpools that suck in some of our sea demons. Many of our sea demons have died here, and my good friend died here. Zhao Fu looked at her and understood why she had asked him to come here. He smiled as he said, Retreat far away and leave everything to me. Hailey smiled as she said, Be careful, husband. Zhao Fu nodded and flew towards the region of water. Just as Zhao Fu entered the region of water, he was immediately stirred up by the seawater, and he immediately released the water world's power, causing the surrounding seawater to gradually stabilize. This was only the edge of the region of water, and Zhao Fu had to go deep into the core region to stabilize this region of water. He continued to swim towards the region of water. As Zhao Fu continued to advance, the seawater became more and more chaotic and continuously roiled as if it was being boiled. Zhao Fu's body gave off many rays of blue light, and only then did the surrounding seawater stabilize. Boom! A massive wave of water containing 10,000 kilograms of force slammed into Zhao Fu's body, sending Zhao Fu flying back, and a trace of blood leaked out of his mouth. Zhao Fu became serious. This region of water would not be so easy to deal with. Seeing that Zhao Fu was injured, Hailey was a little worried. Zhao Fu released the omniscient water realm's power, forming a massive defensive barrier as he continued to fly towards the water region. Another torrent of water crashed towards Zhao Fu with astonishing force. Bang! The torrent of water slammed into the barrier, but the barrier gave off a wave of energy that blocked the torrent of water and prevented it from being sent flying. Zhao Fu continued to fly deeper. Massive streams of water continuously smashed against the defensive barrier with terrifying power, making it very difficult for Zhao Fu to advance. Boom! A massive explosion sounded out as more than 10 streams of water smashed towards Zhao Fu with astonishing power, seeming as if they could collapse a mountain. Bang! This time, the strength of the water current broke through Zhao Fu's defensive barrier. Zhao Fu's body was also swept away by the water current, and his whole body was drenched. Zhao Fu felt quite annoyed and exploded out with even more omniscient water world's power, turning into a massive blue giant that gave off immense power and quickly flew towards the depths. Another torrent of water slammed over. Zhao Fu punched out, and the powerful force scattered the torrent of water as he continued to fly deeper. A few torrents of water smashed toward Zhao Fu, and Zhao Fu continuously punched out. Powerful fist energies continuously blasted out, blasting apart the torrents of water with shocking sounds. Zhao Fu continued to fly towards the depths of the water region. At that moment, countless torrents of water wrapped towards Zhao Fu from all directions, wanting to tear Zhao Fu into countless pieces. The blue giant that Zhao Fu had condensed struggled with all its might and punched out in all directions. Massive power blasted out in all directions, causing the water in all directions to become even more chaotic. However, the torrents of water around Zhao Fu were also scattered. However, before Zhao Fu could feel happy, the countless torrents of water spun like large sabers and continuously slashed at the blue giant's body. The blue giant was destroyed by the countless water sabers, and the countless water sabers continued toward Zhao Fu. Zhao Fu took out an omniscient water world and activated its power, and a waterless blue light blocked the countless water sabers. However, the water sabers did not dissipate and continued to spin and slash at Zhao Fu. Zhao Fu took out another omniscient water world and sent some power into it. The omniscient water world gave off powerful power, but was still unable to dispel the countless water sabers. Zhao Fu did not hesitate and took out all of his omniscient water world. He pushed out with both hands, circulating all of his omniscient water world's power, and a massive wave of blue energy flooded out. The countless water sabers dissipated, and the surrounding water region became calm again. It had finally been dealt with, and Zhao Fu let out a sigh of relief. He continued to fly forwards and came to the center of the water region. Under Zhao Fu's control, the omniscient water world flew to various parts of Zhao Fu's body, and Zhao Fu closed his eyes. Boom! A massive explosion sounded out as the many rays of blue light exploded out, making Zhao Fu look like a massive blue sun. Boundless blue light covered the heavens and earth, not just this region of water, but also the reef mountains. Countless oceanic devil people came out and looked at the scene in shock. It was as if a massive blue sun had appeared in the distance. Everyone felt a massive pressure, and their bodies froze as if their blood had stopped flowing. Hylon stood at her doorstep and looked at this scene in delight. Under the illumination of such a huge blue light, the chaotic water flow gradually weakened and finally returned to a calm state. Zhao Fu retracted his power, and the massive blue sun disappeared. Looking at the surrounding water region and seeing that it was no longer chaotic, Zhao Fu gave a trace of a smile and retracted the omniscient water world. Zhao Fu returned to Hai Li's side. Zhao Fu smiled as he said, "It's been dealt with." Hai Li happily smiled as she said, "Thank you, husband." Zhao Fu lightly laughed. At that moment, a tall and slim woman with a cold aura walked over and looked at Zhao Fu as she asked, "Did that faction release such great power?" Zhao Fu nodded and asked Hai Li, "Who is she?" Hai Li had not come back for many years and did not recognize this woman, so she shook her head. The cold-looking woman said, "I'm called Hai Wu, the chief of this oceanic devil tribe." "Who are you?" Hailey said, I'm Highland's daughter, and he's my husband. I brought him back to stabilize this region of water so that he won't be harmed by the water in the future. Haiwu said, Thank you. Zhao Fu smiled as he said, You're welcome. Haiwu said, Stabilizing this region of water is very beneficial to our tribe. Since you've come with me, our tribe will properly repay you. Zhao Fu smiled as he said, There's no need. I still have things to do and will be leaving soon. Hailey hugged Zhao Fu as she said with hope in her eyes, Husband, don't be in such a hurry to leave. How about a few days? Zhao Fu smiled and nodded. Chapter 34:08. After returning to the Sea Devil tribe, everyone looked at Zhao Fu gratefully. After returning to the Sea Devil tribe, everyone looked at Zhao Fu gratefully. After all, that region of water had harmed them for too long and had not been resolved. Highway stood in the distance, looking quite jealous. It could be said that he could not compare to Zhao Fu in any aspect. Haiwu had people prepare a banquet so that the entire tribe could thank Zhao Fu while also celebrating that the region of water had returned to peace. At the banquet, Zhao Fu, Haiwu, and Hailey sat at the same table. Hailon sat next to Zhao Fu, and a beautiful woman with a mature figure sat on the other side of Zhao Fu. She seemed to be Haiwei's mother and was good friend with Hailon. She was called Haishan. Haiwu smiled as she said, Let me toast you and thank you again for helping our tribe resolve this matter. Zhao Fu raised his cup of wine and smiled as he said, You're welcome. Hailey is my woman, and you're all my friends. Haiwei smiled and nodded before drinking the wine in her cup. Zhao Fu also drank the wine in his cup. Haishan stretched out a hand toward Zhao Fu's thigh as she smiled and said, You're the young sect master of the Clean Water sect at such a young age, and you've even unified that Sea Devil territory. How enviable. Hailon looked at her good sister's actions, and her face became slightly red as she said, Your son has done quite well in our tribe. Haishan looked at Zhao Fu and said, That's only in our tribe. I hope that he can go out and see the world. Do you have any vacancies? Zhao Fu smiled as he said, Yes. Haishan lightly laughed as she said, Thank you then. Zhao Fu smiled as he said, It's fine. Haishan seductively looked at Zhao Fu and said, I have something to do, so I'll be leaving. Zhao Fu waited for a while before leaving. After coming to a corner, Haishan leapt into Zhao Fu's embrace, and the two of them started to intensely do it. Seeing that Zhao Fu had not returned, Hailon said, I'll be leaving for a bit. Following this, Hailon went to the corner and looked at the two of them doing it. Her face became red as she said, You two should be more careful. Haishan smiled tenderly. What does it matter? You can come along as well. Hailon blushed and said, I'll pass. You two hurry up, the others are waiting for you. Hailon smiled. All right. Hailon returned to the table with a red face. The others felt that it was strange, but Hailey understood and smiled as she said, Mother, why didn't you stay there? Hailon rolled her eyes at Hailey. Eat your food. A beautiful middle-aged woman with short hair and a fiery figure covered her body with seashells stood up. Her name was Haiyu, and she walked to a corner. Looking at the intense scene in front of her and Haishan's lewd appearance, she smiled and said, Can I join? Zhao Fu nodded. Haiyu chuckled and walked toward Zhao Fu. The beautiful women vaguely guessed what was going on. They smiled and looked at each other before coming to the corner. The noise there gradually became louder, and the people at the banquet also heard it. Some of the Sea Devil men reacted, and some of the Sea Devil women's faces became red. Everyone looked at Haiwu, and hearing these noises, Haiwu said to Hailey, You don't mind? Hailey smiled and said, I don't mind. My husband has many women. As long as he truly loves me, it's fine. Haiwu did not say anything. Hailey did not mind, and the other women were also willing. Zhao Fu had shown them kindness, and their clan had a tradition of leaving behind experts' bloodlines. It was likely that they had found a wrong person. A tall woman covered in seaweed smiled and said, Chief, I'm going as well. I like having a big fat boy. Haiwu nodded. The tall woman also walked to the corner. Hearing the noises from the corner become louder and louder, the banquet could not continue, and everyone could only leave. This made it more convenient for those who were too embarrassed to go to the corner, and some even had to hide from their husbands. The Sea Devil women were incredibly passionate, and the next day, no one came out from the corner, and more people went. The men all looked favorably upon their women. Some women disregarded the chief's objections and insisted on going to the corner, making the men feel quite angry at Zhao Fu's actions. Even though Zhao Fu had shown them kindness, he could not do this. In the end, this matter was brought to the chief. Haiwu felt quite helpless and was also quite shocked at Zhao Fu's abilities. At first, she had thought that a few would be enough, and she had never thought that even this many would not be enough. When she came to the corner, Haiwu was quite shocked. There were all sorts of women lying around, and they all looked satisfied and happy. Zhao Fu was still entangled with a few Sea Devil women and had not stopped. Haiwu walked past the women and came before Zhao Fu as she said, "Are you still not satisfied with so many women? The others are already complaining." As Zhao Fu ravaged a woman, he said, "Chief, you can't blame me. It's your Sea Devil women who are too passionate. Ask them if they want it or not." The women said, "Chief, we want to be with him. We really like such a perfect man. Please don't interfere. His bloodline is very powerful, and if we can give birth to women, it will be a good thing for our tribe." Haiwu sighed. "If you were all alone, that wouldn't be a problem, but some of you have husbands and some have children. Don't you care about them?" A beautiful woman said, "Now that I've had a taste of him, I won't like any other man. I want to divorce my man." Another woman said, "The two of them are like heaven and earth. For him to take a fancy to us is our honor. How can we have any objections?" The women all spoke. Haiwu felt a headache. Could it be that if this continued, the women of the tribe would all become Zhao Fu's women? Haiwu said, "You have to stop. Otherwise, we'll be finished in the afternoon." Zhao Fu said, "All right, I still have things to do." The women hurriedly hugged Zhao Fu and said, "Don't go. We still want to continue." Zhao Fu bitterly smiled as he looked at Haiwu. One of the women suddenly pushed Haiwu away and smiled as she said, "Good man, let the chief bow to you as well." Zhao Fu hugged Zhao Fu, who had fallen into his embrace, and gave a slight smile. Haiwu's face became red. Seeing Haiwu moan in embarrassment, the women laughed as they said, "Chief, do you understand how we feel now?" Haiwu's face became red, and she was speechless. On the third day, Haili and Hailon came here and looked at the densely packed women on the ground. These were the results of Zhao Fu's battles. Haili smiled as she said, "How does husband feel?" Zhao Fu said in satisfaction, "I'm very happy." Haili smiled as she said, "It's been a few days. Let's go back." Zhao Fu nodded. Haishan said to Zhao Fu, "Bring us along as well. We're all your women now, so you have to be responsible for us." Zhao Fu smiled as he said, Let's go back together." Haiwu's face became red as she said, "If you take away so many women, then we won't be weak anymore." Zhao Fu smiled as he said, "Isn't it good for the men to form a tribe and the women to form another tribe?" Chapter 3409. Book 1, Chapter 349. Battle Haiwu's expression was complicated. She began to think. Haishan said, "Chief, let's leave here and start over. We can rebuild a strong force. The land of Sea Devils is definitely better than here." Haiwu nodded. "I won't stop you, and those men definitely won't support me. If I stay, I'll be overthrown by them. I can go with you to the land of Sea Devils, but if someone wants to follow us, we won't refuse. It doesn't have to be all women." The women all happily smiled and nodded. Following this, Zhao Fu walked out with the women. Countless men looked at Zhao Fu with resentment. Zhao Fu's status as a benefactor had suddenly turned into that of an enemy. Because of Zhao Fu's status, they did not dare to act against Zhao Fu. Haiwu said, "We plan to move to the Sea Stone territory together. Do you want to come with us? There are more resources there, and it will be more convenient." Haiwei said, "If we don't go, do you think we'll bear this humiliation?" Haishan said, "Son, I've discussed it with him. If you go, You'll be able to obtain a decent position. You should go. Highway angrily looked at his mother and said, I don't care. Hai Shan was quite angry, and looking at Highway, she understood that he could not accept this right away. She said, We'll go first. If you want to come, I'll wait for you. The women happily packed their things and left, while the men angrily watched on. Some even cursed, but they did not dare to do anything. After returning to the Sea Stone territory, the women looked at the tall and beautiful palace. It was hundreds of times better than the cave from before, and there were even people to serve them. This was something that they could not enjoy before, and the women happily stayed here. Zhao Fu hugged Hai Ji and smiled as he said, It's all over now. Hai Ji reluctantly looked at Zhao Fu, but she understood that Zhao Fu had to go. Hai Wu said, Where are you going? Zhao Fu smiled as he said, To find the water world in all directions. Hai Wu asked in confusion, Did you take the water world in all directions? How come I didn't hear about it? Hearing this, Zhao Fu's expression froze, and he hurriedly asked, What did you say? Hai Wu looked at Zhao Fu strangely and asked, What's wrong? Zhao Fu said, Are you saying that there is an 8-directional water world here? Sea Mist nodded, but very few people know about it. I've only heard about it from some old people. Zhao Fu really didn't expect that the land of the sea demons really had an 8-directional water world. He smiled in surprise and said, Where is that 8-directional water world? Sea Mist said, You didn't get it? Zhao Fu nodded and said with a smile, I've been here for a long time, but I haven't gotten any news. If you hadn't told me, I wouldn't have known that it was here. I would have left this place to look for it elsewhere. Sea Mist said, I've only heard of it. I'm not sure where the 8-direction water world is. Zhao Fu asked, Tell me your detailed information. Sea Mist nodded. Sea Mist said, I heard from the elders that our siren tribe used to worship the water world of the 8 directions as a sacred object. However, I don't know what happened, but the water world of the 8 directions caused many deaths, so it was sealed up. Zhao Fu said, Only the old people of the tribe know about this. Sea Mist nodded. Zhao Fu asked again, Are there many sea demon tribes here? Sea Mist nodded and said, Yes. Zhao Fu said, I want to find other sea demon tribes. Please take me there, and I'll see if I can gather any information. Sea Mist said, Sure. Sea Mist smiled and said, Husband, I didn't make a mistake, right? Zhao Fu smiled and said, After we find the 8-direction water world, I'll thank you properly. Sea Mist happily nodded. Sea Mist brought Zhao Fu to a place and came to a reef mountain. There were many squid-like creatures continuously attacking this tribe's people. Sea Mist hurriedly said, Hurry and help them. These things are very annoying. Hearing this, Zhao Fu waved his hand and swords appeared around Zhao Fu. Powerful energy flowed into them as the swords gave off a black light and a powerful sword intent spread out. Swish, 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 Zhao Fu stretched out a hand and vigorously pushed, causing the swords to give off black light as they quickly shot towards the squid-like creatures, piercing through their bodies and causing green blood to continuously spread out in the water. After killing these squid-like creatures, the flying swords continued to attack other squid-like creatures. A squid-like creature leapt at a woman, and a sword pierced through its body from above. A squid-like creature sent a young man flying, and a sword pierced through the side. A squid-like creature tried to run in fear, but was also pierced by a sword. The sea demons looked over and felt quite grateful. Zhao Fu was not wearing his cloak. So many women looked at him with seductive gazes. A middle-aged man flew over to Zhao Fu and smiled as he said, Thank you for your help, sir. May I ask who sir is? Zhao Fu smiled as he said, I'm the king of the sea demon region. I have something to ask you. Hearing Zhao Fu's reply, the middle-aged man looked quite surprised. I'm the chief of this tribe. What do you want to ask? Zhao Fu said, I heard that the sea demon tribe once had an 8-direction water world, but it was sealed. Where is it now? The middle-aged man's expression was serious as he asked, Who did you hear this from? Sea Mist said, I told him. The middle-aged man said, You might have heard wrong. Our tribe doesn't have this. How can a sea demon like you mingle with other races? Don't you remember the old rules? Sea Mist was a bit dissatisfied. Can't you have a better attitude? Those are ancient rules. How can you abide by them? The middle-aged man coldly harumphed. If you weren't a sea demon, I wouldn't even bother to tell you. This news is fake. If there's nothing else, please leave. Sea Mist said angrily. We're leaving now. Sea Mist pulled on Zhao Fu's hand. I'll take you to the other tribes to ask. Zhao Fu smiled and nodded. Along the way, Sea Mist was still a bit angry. We clearly helped them. Why is their attitude like this? If we had known, we wouldn't have helped them. Zhao Fu said with a smile. At first, their attitude was quite good, but when we asked about the 8-direction water world, their attitude changed. They must know something. Are there rules about not divulging information about the 8-direction water world? Sea Mist thought about it and nodded. There are, Zhao Fu said with a smile. Wait here, or you can go back. I'll find a way to resolve this matter. Sea Mist said, then I'll go back. Promise me that you won't hurt the people of our sea demon tribe. Chapter 34:10. Book 1. Chapter 350. After returning to the reef forest, a beautiful woman looked at Zhao Fu and pulled Zhao Fu to a reef before tearing off the seaweed on her body and pouncing on him. Zhao Fu looked at the crazy woman and felt that this sea demon race woman was very passionate and convenient. She was covered in seaweed, shells, and clothes made of simple cloth that only covered the important parts. An hour later, Zhao Fu was ravaging the beautiful woman as he smiled and asked, What's her name? The beautiful woman's face was red as she replied, I'm called Si Chio, the chief's wife. Zhao Fu lightly laughed in surprise as he said, You're the chief's wife? Aren't you afraid of the chief finding out? Si Chio said, My husband is too stupid. He didn't think about your strength and still dared to offend you. I knew that you would come back, so I waited for you. I hope that you won't mind. Zhao Fu smiled and said, Sure, but I want to know if you have any information about the 8-direction water world. If you tell me, I'll let your tribe off. I wanted to kill your husband and force him to give me information. Si Chio said, Let me tell you, if you want to obtain the 8-direction water world, you must first obtain 10 sea demon jades. They are what opens that place. Zhao Fu asked, What does the sea demon jade look like? Si Chio said, Our tribe doesn't have it, and I don't know what it looks like. I don't know which tribes have it. Zhao Fu thought of something and suddenly took out a square piece of jade that was as big as 3 fingers. He asked, Is this the sea demon jade? Si Chio looked at the jade that Zhao Fu had taken out and carefully sensed it before saying, This jade reacts to us sea demons, so it's the sea demon jade. Why do you have it? Zhao Fu smiled and said, I obtained it by accident. Zhao Fu had obtained this jade from killing the Sea Mountain King and opening a silver treasure chest, but he did not know what it was used for. Only now did he discover its use. Suddenly, Si Chio's body trembled and fell to the ground. She smiled at Zhao Fu and said, Can I be your woman? Zhao Fu smiled. You don't want to be the patriarch's wife anymore. The sea loach shook its head and said, I don't want to. I'm already obsessed with you, okay? As long as you promise, I'll do anything. Zhao Fu picked her up and said with a smile, Silly, aren't you one now? The sea loach happily hugged Zhao Fu and said with a smile, Yes, hubby. Zhao Fu said, I'm going to collect sea demon jade. The sea loach smiled and said, Husband, I'll help you call a few people over while gathering information. I think you haven't had enough. Zhao Fu smiled and nodded. My wife, you're the best. The sea loach sweetly smiled and put on the seaweed clothes before coming over with the 8 beautiful women. She looked at Zhao Fu and smiled in delight. A woman with short hair and exquisite features said in surprise, So it's you. Thank you for your help. I'll repay you now. A voluptuous woman wearing seaweed clothes said apologetically, You saved our tribe, so we should all thank you. I'm sorry that our chief treated you like that. An enchanting woman giggled and said, The first time I saw you, I felt like I was infatuated with you. I thought that woman would be honored to become yours. I never thought that I would be so lucky. The sea loach said, Everyone, don't waste time. The women coquettishly laughed and leapt at Zhao Fu. The scene became chaotic, But Zhao Fu did not forget what he wanted to do. He asked them if they knew about the sea demon Jade, but the beautiful women said that they could only tell him after the matter was over. As such, Zhao Fu could only continue to work hard. The chief has given orders for everyone to patrol and see if there are any more squids, a captain said to the male sea demons. The patrolling male sea demons nodded. At that moment, a male sea demon suddenly said, "Captain, did you hear something?" Hearing this, everyone fell silent. Sure enough, they heard something and a man said, "The battle just ended. Who would do such a thing here?" The captain said, "Let's go take a look and give them to the chief to deal with." Everyone nodded. They walked towards a reef. The scene made everyone feel quite shocked. The women were entangled with a man, and the chief's wife was among them. Zhao Fu turned to look at them and stretched out a hand, sending out a powerful wave of power to kill these guards. The sea loach hugged Zhao Fu and said, "Don't hurt them." At that moment, the guards hurriedly ran away. Zhao Fu said, "Hurry and pack up. There will be many people coming soon." The sea loach lightly laughed and said, "We don't mind. If they come, then so be it." The short-haired, beautiful woman said, "That's right. Let's continue." Before Zhao Fu could refuse, he was pushed down by the beautiful women. Soon, the chief brought a large number of people over. Seeing how lewd his wife was on Zhao Fu, the chief angrily said, "Capture them all." The guards immediately gave off a powerful aura as they ferociously rushed toward Zhao Fu. Clang, 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 chains shot out from the void and shot towards the guards, easily binding them. The chief roared and rushed at Zhao Fu, stabbing out with his spear. A massive spear energy containing terrifying power stabbed toward Zhao Fu, shattering the chains and continuing toward Zhao Fu, wanting to kill Zhao Fu in a single strike. Zhao Fu looked over and saw an even greater power dissipate the spear energy and send the incoming tribal chief flying back, a trace of blood leaking out of his lips. The sea loach patted Zhao Fu and said unhappily, "Didn't I say not to harm them?" Zhao Fu smiled and said, "I understand." Many chains shot out around the chief, and the chief continuously attacked, breaking the chains. However, it was a pity that he was still bound by the chains. Even though the ocean race women did not mind, Zhao Fu still knocked out all of the men. The female guards felt quite nervous and looked at Zhao Fu expectantly. The sea loach said, "If you want to come, then come as well. As long as you're obedient, he won't harm you." Zhao Fu loosened the chains binding them, and finally, the female guards walked over. News spread, and the people of the tribe hurried over. The men were bound by the chains and fell into the twilight enchantment, while the women joined in. On the third day, the tribe was split into two sides. One side was made up of men, while the other side was made up of women. The women's faces were rosy and had smiles on their faces, while the men were incredibly furious. The sea loach looked at the chief and said, "Our ocean race has its own rules. Anyone who likes them can be with them, and no one else can stop them." The chief said, "Yes. However, you're also my wife." The sea loach said, "Didn't you always talk about rules? Now you have to follow them." The chief was still quite angry and could not accept the sea loach becoming Zhao Fu's woman. Thinking about how lewd the sea loach had been, the chief felt like exploding with rage. Chapter 34:11. Book 1, Zhao Fu, Zhao Fu. The sea loach said, "We won't fight with you over the things here. We're going to the land of sea devils." The chief said coldly, "Are you all really going to leave with him?" The women nodded. The chief said angrily, "Then all of you scram. You'll regret this sooner or later." The sea loach laughed and said, "Let's go. Let's form a new tribe." The men could only watch this scene. Zhao Fu hugged the women and left, and after escorting them for a while, he said, "When you reach the land of sea devils, just say that you're my women and someone will take care of you." The sea loach said, "We'll wait for you." Zhao Fu flew toward the place by himself because he had received news that a tribe had sea devil jade. He went to a small tribe of a few hundred people. Zhao Fu did not waste any time and released a powerful aura that covered the tribe, causing everyone's faces to turn pale. A 40-year-old woman who still looked quite attractive walked out with an unsightly expression, saying, "Sir, what is it?" Zhao Fu looked at this woman and said, "You're the chief." The woman nodded. "I'm called Oyster." Zhao Fu said, "I heard that your tribe has sea devil jade. Call it out now." Oyster quickly said, "Sir, I think you've misunderstood. How could a small tribe like ours have such a precious thing?" Zhao Fu looked at Oyster and said, "I heard that your tribe has one. I don't want to waste words. Hurry up and hand it over." Oyster said nervously, "Sir, we really don't have it. If you don't believe me, you can search for it yourself." Zhao Fu coldly harumphed and flew in front of Oyster. He hugged Oyster, and Oyster did not dare to resist. He walked into the tribe and called out, "Everyone come out!" Hearing this, the merfolk came out in fear and did not dare to hide. With Zhao Fu's power, he could easily find them. Seeing the hundreds of sea devils come out, Zhao Fu waved his hand and a massive power flowed out, knocking all of the men unconscious. Oyster said in panic, "Sir, what do you want?" Zhao Fu smiled and said, "I just knocked them out. I didn't hurt them." Hearing this, Hai Ying heaved a sigh of relief. But in the next second, she was pushed to the ground by Zhao Fu. The other women were also grabbed by a force, and the scene fell into chaos. Zhao Fu ravaged the oyster and said, "Tell me where the sea demon jade is." "The sea fiend jade isn't here. I've already hidden it somewhere else. I'll take you there later." Zhao Fu revealed a satisfied smile. Half a day later, the women were not as nervous and scared as before. They were lying happily beside Zhao Fu, while their man and child were lying unconscious on the other side. Because Oyster had obtained Zhao Fu's power, she seemed to become younger by a few years. She lay in Zhao Fu's embrace and smiled as she asked, "How should I address you?" Zhao Fu smiled. "How do you want to address me?" Oyster laughed and said, "Husband." "What do you plan to do with us in the future?" Zhao Fu smiled and said, "All of you will go to the land of the sea fiends, but only you can go. None of you men or children can go." A woman with a slender figure and a pure face asked, "Why?" Zhao Fu smiled and said, "Because you're all my women. I don't want you to have anything to do with any other men." Oyster laughed and said, "You're so domineering." Zhao Fu smiled and said, "All right, take me to find that sea fiend jade." Oyster smiled and nodded. Following this, Oyster brought Zhao Fu to a valley and placed her palm on a rock, causing a large cave to appear on the rock. The two of them walked into the cave, and there was a square piece of jade on a stone platform. Oyster went up and removed all of the restrictions and picked up the sea fiend jade before returning to Zhao Fu and handing it to Zhao Fu with an ashen expression. Zhao Fu smiled in satisfaction as he received it. Oyster said, "Husband, the sea fiend jade is very important to our clan. What do you want it for?" Zhao Fu said, "To find the water world in all directions." Oyster said in surprise, "Our sea fiends have the water world in all directions." Zhao Fu briefly explained what had happened. Oyster happily hugged Zhao Fu and said, "Husband, you're too amazing. I feel like I'm not good enough for you." Zhao Fu smiled and said, "Don't mind that. Do you know where the sea fiend jade is?" Oyster shook her head and said, "I don't know." Also, "Husband, where did you find out that I have the sea fiend jade? I don't remember leaking any information. Did something go wrong?" Zhao Fu smiled and said, "I heard it from the previous clan leader. It has nothing to do with you, so I don't know much about it. I just came when I knew you had it." Oyster nodded and said. Zhao Fu smiled and said, "Let's go back together. I also want to gather some information and see where the sea fiend jade is." Oyster softly nodded. After returning to the sea fiend's territory, Haiji looked at the many sea fiend women that Zhao Fu had brought back and lightly laughed. "Husband, are you going to split our clan into 2 clans?" Zhao Fu smiled and said, "You sea fiend women are too passionate and unrestrained. Moreover, your figures and appearances are all very good, so I can't control myself." Haiji hugged Zhao Fu's waist and looked at Zhao Fu as she said, "It doesn't matter how many women you want, but you have to love me with all your heart." Zhao Fu smiled and nodded. Haiji lightly smiled and said, I'll help you gather information about the sea fiend jade. Go to my mother's place. She always wants to know when you'll come back." Zhao Fu said, "Thank you for your hard work." Zhao Fu came to the room and saw Hai Lan standing in the courtyard reading a book. Zhao Fu went forward and picked her up. Hai Lan blushed and said, "Husband, when did you come back?" Zhao Fu smiled and said, "I just came back. I heard that Hai Ji said that you missed me, so I came to see you." Hai Lan shyly said, 2 hours later, Zhao Fu came out of Hai Lan's room and returned to the palace. He looked at Hai Ji and asked, "How did it go? Did you gather any information?" Hai Ji said, "I did, but it's been a long time, so I can't be sure if it's true or not." Zhao Fu smiled and said, "I know." Hai Ji said, "The first information is that the sea fiend jade ceremony will be held in a body of water. There are many monsters there, and it will be very dangerous." Zhao Fu nodded and said, "I'll go take a look at that place first." Half a day later, Zhao Fu came back with the third sea fiend jade. Zhao Fu had never thought that he would be attacked by a massive crab. The crab was like a small mountain and had all sorts of colors. It was also extremely poisonous. Zhao Fu had spent some time to kill it, and his luck had been off the charts. He had found the sea devil jade within the crab's body, which was why Zhao Fu had returned so quickly. Seeing that Zhao Fu had returned after such a long time, Hai Li was quite surprised. The water region was quite big, and it would be incredibly difficult to find a small sea devil jade. Zhao Fu told her what happened, and Hai Li couldn't help but feel that Zhao Fu was lucky this time. Zhao Fu then asked about the second piece of information, that you're tuning into the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.